Burak, I am attending a program and we are beginning a program for the university also in the same time. So my presence would be rather limited.
Okay, Gagan, that's not a problem. I hope the university program goes well, and think it would be perfectly fine. Of course, that you have another duty, so that's not a problem. That's okay.
Yeah, I'll join in. I'll come in between, but I'll be staying logged in. If in case I'm required, just type me something.
Okay, thank you. I just lost the voice before you spoke, so if there was anything I didn't hear about it, so
We didn't
uh,
say anything. Yesterday, I had a
okay.
word. Yesterday, I had a word with the principal of the college, Dr. Ajay Sharma, and most of the people whom you gave the assignments, they have performed their assignments in the groups rather than doing those individually. They have
Okay,
done groups, and most of them have their PPTs ready, so they can give the presentations whenever you want.
very good. So should we start?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I hear many
I'll
voices. So
I'll
was there
I'll mute
someone who
myself.
said something?
No, I'll mute myself. You heard Professor Nina Sinha, my dean, in the
Okay.
other. Bye bye.
Okay, that's okay. Have a great session, Gagan. Okay, so shall we start, guys? How do you think we should do it? Um, how many groups do we have? Okay, the principal sir saying we should start now. So once again, welcome, very, very warm welcome. I'm just glad to hear that there are some PPTs, there are some presentations, that the Friday session had an impact on your research, on yourself defining the research problem. So today, I didn't bring any slides, so we would be making it very intuitive. I would like to see your presentations. I would like to hear more from your groups, and we can make some feedback rounds. So how did you try to define the research problem? What is the research statement based on the following points? Okay, so who would like to go on first? Which group would like to go on first? They can start whichever way you prefer, so it's up to you who goes first, who goes second. We have time for all.
The topic is clear to you all. I have uploaded a sheet.
Yeah, the same with me. I couldn't hear the starting point. Could you please repeat the name of the group, the topic, etc.? These were the things that I couldn't hear.
Oh, good morning, sir. This is Dr. Priya Manchanda, and I, with my group mates, would like to uh, make presentation. Uh,
Welcome, Priya. Welcome, guys.
so I'm unable to share my slides.
But I could just see them, so I think it was okay.
You are able to see my slides?
Yeah, you should just go to the PowerPoint and we see them.
Okay.
That's perfectly fine.
Okay. So our group name is Phoenix, and our group mates are Dr. Ajay Sharma, who is the principal of the college, Miss Mrinal Gupta, and I, Dr. Priya Manchanda. So we have decided to make a study on impact of COVID-19 on Indian tourism industry. Now we all know that millions of jobs in the global tourism industry could be lost due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which has also impacted like no other events in the history. It has it will it is being projected that this tourism industry will cause a loss of 1.25 trillion in calendar 2020 because of the shutdown of hotels, the suspension of flights operations. So I, with my group mates, plan to examine and measure the impact of COVID-19 on tourism and hospitality industry in India in terms of the revenues and investment. Now, we all know that tourism is a substantial contributor of employment generation, and it contributes to a very good amount in terms of the foreign exchange reserves, and it adds to the livelihood to millions of people across the social strata. We all know that over 95% of medium and small scale industries or enterprises, they have 53,000 travel agents, they have 1,15,000 tour operators, they have 15,000 adventure trips, 9,11,000 tourist transporters, and 53,000 and 5 lakh restaurants. Now, these all part of this medium and small scale industries, their cash flows has been restricted due to the restrictions which is being imposed. The World Tourism Organization has projected that millions of jobs could be lost because of this COVID-19 pandemic, and this also made us to make further investigation, and we investigation that the forward bookings for various conferences, the leisure trips has been cancelled. It has a very significant bearing on inbound and the outbound passengers who are expected to be gallantly bearing it next couple of quarters. Now, considering previous year revenues from tourism, in 2019, India was able to manage to get 2,10,971 crores as a result of this tourism industry. Now that the restrictions have been imposed on the travel, tourism, and everything, we are going to face a lot of loss in terms of revenue in this industry. Now, CARE reporter has also projected that in the first 3 months of 2020, the revenue loss will be more than 50% as compared to the previous years. Now, this particular impact is visible to everyone that not only the other industries are actually losing a lot of funds, the money that we get from the tourism industry in terms of the foreign exchange currency that we get contributes a lot to the forex reserve of our country. Now that is also very important. All these factors calls for an investigation on the impact of COVID-19 on the revenue and investment in tourism and hospitality industry, and we are also planning to anticipate for the future course of action. Now, why are we doing this study? The fourth question was, how is it connecting to the broader spectrum or the broader area? We are already making an investigation into the broader area since we are planning to make a research on the tourism and hotel industry or the hospitality industry as a whole. So what we have planned that after working out on the revenues or projecting the future tourism, foreign exchange reserve or foreign exchange earnings, we will try to have to give implications, and to give some policy recommendations on the same. So this research has planned to give policy recommendation that would help in stabilizing and supporting the said industry in terms of the fiscal and monetary measures. Now, post these studies, we are also planning to suggest certain strategies for improvising the economic scenario of tourism and hospitality industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Priya. It was a very interesting issue, and of course, the COVID-19 issue is something that is mostly having an impact and would be having an impact on the tourism industry. So I like the idea. It is very contemporary.
Thank you,
You put
sir.
a very clear research problem that is about the impact of COVID-19 on Indian tourism in terms of revenue, in terms of investment. But you also mentioned at some points employment, which are, of course, something that is in connection with these concepts. So far, I think it is a very nice policy contribution. So you also had very current reports, so these are quite important. And of course, because the COVID-19 topic is quite new, we may not have that kind of research papers yet regarding the economy after COVID-19. So far, I understand the motivation that it is actually something that is quite new. Now, my points that I would like to add would be regarding a few of the things that I noticed that you could improve your presentation and, of course, your research in these ways, if that would be okay for you. Priya?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Very good. So the first thing is, of course, the issue is quite new, but how did you frame the problem from the research perspective? So one thing to do is to take a look at the consumption behavior of people. So as you may also know, the theory of business cycles, take a look at this. So some purchases, some consumption items are more in when things go well. These are the pro-cyclical. So when we have an upward movement in the business cycle. For example, holidays. When people are earning good and when the economic conditions are perfect, people make holidays. Otherwise, when things are bad, when people are anxious about their future, about loss of their job, they don't do their holidays. So this can be one thing. So I didn't see any theoretical or conceptual framework in it. And this
Sir,
would be the
we have,
first thing. I'm sorry,
sir,
may I
we
finish,
have
Priya?
already,
I didn't finish yet.
yeah.
So this would be the first thing that the referees would tell you. Where is your framing? Where is the theoretical framework? Where is the conceptual framework? Of course, you can also take a look at, that would be the second strategy, to take a look at, for example, the SARS pandemics, which was quite a few years ago, how it influenced the tourism. Because back then the perspective was during the summer of 2004, I think, the tourism would be hit very hard, but all of a sudden the virus disappeared. So this would be the second thing. And third issue that I would like to raise is, of course, a policy contribution for the Indian tourism industry is perfectly fine. But how do other countries learn from this? So what is the added value for your analysis to other countries? So you can also think of it. I mean, what are the conditions of tourism in India? Because there may be other countries out there which have a similar tourism structure as India. So this would be, I think, the third thing that a referee would point out to you. So now I'm done, and I think now you wanted to add a few points, so you are very welcome for that.
Sir, firstly, with regard to the conceptual framework, we have planned to take certain variables into account Those variables include the revenues that we earn from the tourism and hotel industry. They also include the investment that is being done by various investors who are into this industry. We are also going to investigate on the loans that the real estate agent have taken or they happen to take, because obviously they have to renovate, they have to expand their operations. So that is also another variable, and that is also going to be a part of our conceptual framework, because conceptual framework will comprise of the constructs that we are going to study, and these are some of the constructs that we are planning to do. Now, the next construct that we are planning to take under the study is the number of tourists that visit from different countries. And with regard to the application of implication to different countries, we are going to consider various perspectives. We are also going to consider international perspective, so that we can generalize the implication of the study, and that the policy recommendations are also applicable to rest of the countries. So yes, it is going to be something which will have international application. But yes, our study and the variable, the constructs, the data will be restricted to this domestic or national or Indian database only. And we are also planned how the data will be gathered, and that proposed framework is ready from our side.
Thank you very much, Priya. So you are having the hypothesis of the revenues and investments going down. So I'm understanding it as a way that you are actually taking a look at the business cycle theory. Is that correct in that way? Okay. Thank you very much. Very interesting to hear that. So thank you very much, Priya. Thank you very much, colleagues. Very nice work by the team Phoenix. So I am looking forward to see the whole paper in a very nice journal, because
Thank
it will
you,
be
sir.
managed to do that.
Thank you.
Good
Okay.
morning, sir. Sir, may I ask one question?
Jinesh, I think we can do it whenever your group is presenting. Would that be fine? Because I
Okay,
want
sir.
to
Okay.
have the presentations first, and after we have the presentations, we can do the question and
Sir,
answers, because I don't want to
sir,
have
my
any groups that are missing or any groups that couldn't manage because
okay,
of time.
no problem, sir. Otherwise, my question was related with the independent variable on impact of COVID-19.
Okay, we will do it at the end, Jinesh. Let's have all the groups first,
Okay,
because I don't
okay,
want to
thank you,
hear
sir.
from anyone, you had too much questions and we couldn't present something
Okay,
like that.
okay.
Shouldn't happen.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay, so let's move to the second group, please. Who would go on next? Yeah, okay. Is it Monica? Yes, Monica, we could just see your slides. So I'm not sure what happened in between. But if you want, we can try it later. Okay. Another group maybe, if Monica is not willing to do it now.
Sir, shall I present?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, right. Good morning, everyone. The name of my team is Learner, which is comprising of me, Dr. Robin Kaushal, Dr. Meenu Goyal, and Miss Monica Sethi from Shri Aurobindo College of Commerce and Management. Uh, the topic of our research is effectiveness of online teaching tools from students' perspective. As in the era of e-learning and e-teaching, we all have witnessed that there is a paradigm shift in the seminars to webinar, and from classroom teaching to Google Classroom and Zoom. So that's why we have taken this present topic in order to see that how much this online teaching is important and what is its effectiveness. So that
Okay,
will be our
just a
research
stop.
problem.
Your colleagues is asking whether you are not going to show the slides, and I also do not see any slides.
Sir, actually there is a problem of Wi-Fi, so that is why I think, can you see from here? I am sharing.
I can't
I'm sharing.
see, no.
Okay, sir, there is a problem of Wi-Fi in my
Okay,
laptop. That is why, yeah, that is why. Sir, I have
okay.
made the
That
slides.
was a
I
question
will
by
share
your
it later
colleague, so
on.
I had to stop you, sorry.
Okay, okay, no problem, sir. No problem. Sir,
Okay,
I will
but
share it
interesting
later on.
topic.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So the topic would be the students' evaluation of online teaching vis-a-vis conventional teaching, or we can study the effectiveness of online teaching tools from students' perspective. So this is the research problem also, which will come out from our research topic, so that we can see that how much this online teaching is effective. Is it an effective way of learning or not? So, why we have selected this study and what is the need of study in order to see that whether the e-teaching bore fruitful results in terms of effective learning by the students, and further we want to see that which are the alternative tools, because we are using a Google Classroom, we are using WebEx, we are using Zoom. So out of different tools, we want to see that which tool is best liked or received by the students. Further, is it this online teaching pedagogy? Is it the substitute of the conventional teaching, or we can use it along with the conventional teaching? So that could also be the part of our research problem. And further, if we see the broader aspect of this case study, we want to see that what will be the in the broader discipline, what is that effective teaching learning pedagogy in the term of finding out the best alternative as a teaching pedagogy for imparting online teaching, or it will also help in suggesting an optimum mix of conventional and online teaching learning tools for the effective student learning. So that will be our topic, sir. So please give us further suggestions that how we can
Uh,
further move to it.
well, first of all, thank you very much. This is something very interesting, and I think, in fact, I can also share my experience with you because just last year we constructed an index with a colleague of mine, something like a survey, in which we were asking students whether social media should replace real lectures. So
Okay.
something similar to your topic. Unfortunately, what happened, I have my data, I still have it, but my friend who is a lecturer from another university, his
Yes, sir.
students did the survey without reading it. So for every question they crossed the answer of I don't know. So that's why we
Mm-hmm.
couldn't make a comparison. So that's why
Okay.
I have understood the basics. So thank you very much. This is something very important, and in fact, all of a sudden we have a very big shift from the analog classroom to the digital classroom.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
So I was asking. I mean, the topic of Priya and colleagues was very much focused on the tourism industry, so they had all kind of reports and so on, the policy reports, which is a policy based contribution.
Yes, sir.
So one of the topics that I think that could be quite much interesting, especially when you are defining your research problem, is how you are framing your research question. So
Sir,
in that case,
yeah. Hanji, sir, you please carry on.
Yeah, in that case, I would be asking how your evaluation of the current studies on the topic are. So, especially with regard to the tacit knowledge, because this is actually the terminology that I think you would be using extensively in your research.
Yes, sir.
So that would
Sir,
be the first
basically,
question that I would like to raise.
okay. So, sir, as far as this research problem is concerned, because this topic is something new, which we all have
Mm-hmm.
faced in the time of COVID-19. So, I think that no secondary data will be available on this. So, our study will be related to collecting the primary data, be from the students, or we can also include the teacher's angle in it. So that will be that we will make a questionnaire so that we can find out with the help of the question, can be multi-cotmus question or scale-based question, where we can derive that what are the different methods of online teaching, and which method the students are finding it best. I think only with the help of this collecting data with the help of questionnaire and by applying, I think if we want to check its impact, then we can apply the regression from where we can see that which tool is impacting the students learning most than the other.
Okay, thank you. But I mean, how does the situation now differ from convenient e-learning practices? I mean, you need to justify that you are not going to use any single paper from the rich e-learning literature. So, how is
Sir,
it
I
different
we
for
will
you?
try. Okay, sir, we'll try our level best, because right now we have not made that whether any kind of studies are being available. But if the good research papers are not available on e-learning, then we will make the conventional papers like conventional teaching learning. That would be the base, so that we can frame out our variables and parameter to decide it further.
Okay, I mean, there are a lot of papers, and if you want, I can also send you some of them. So I am more familiar with the
Please, sir,
literature
please.
because of our previous study. So the issue is that, I mean, don't get me wrong, we are
Definitely,
among
sir.
us. It's a
Yes, sir.
working group. It's a work in progress. I'm just seeing it from the perspective of the referee, because the
It will be
referee
our
would
pleasure,
say,
sir.
of course, now we have a lot of digital classes, but before
Yes.
COVID-19, there were still a lot of digital classes and still a lot of people who were trying to measure their impact in comparison to the convenient
Yes, sir.
classroom, the physical classroom. That's why this was one of the topics that I was referring to, that in your research statement, you need to
Mm-hmm.
place your research question into a broader topic of literature so that the
Okay.
conversation can go
Right,
on.
sir.
So
Yes, sir.
this
Yes,
should
sir. I
be
got
the
your point.
e-learning impact, of course, the tacit knowledge capacity, the tacit knowledge accumulation, and tacit knowledge distribution in that sense.
Okay. Okay,
So
sir.
tacit
Okay.
knowledge transfer. And I think, I mean, one of the things that I notice is, of course, what is
Hmm.
new now. So maybe it is not about a comparison of the real classroom and the digital classroom. It
Yes,
is
sir.
just
Yes, sir.
about the improvement of the digital classroom, because maybe this will go on
Yes, sir.
years. We don't know. Or maybe people will be so happy to have digital classes only, they will say,
Yes, sir.
no, we don't want to go back to the analog classes. When I did the research in
Definitely.
Germany, unfortunately, the opposite result came. So even though it
Okay.
was a technical university and it was an elite university, so one of the excellence universities of Germany, the students were quite much dissatisfied with the digital content, with the digital
Okay.
classrooms, and they were saying, okay, let's have the convenient way. So we are not interested in digitalization of our classes. We use
Okay.
the social media. We are not unaware of it. We are part of it, but we don't want to have classes on social media. So this was more or less the
Okay.
message. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, if you could provide any kind of email or contact detail, I would be glad to share with you some of the papers, because you need to place the literature within a broader
Yes,
frame. And
sir.
I think that is
Broader frame.
something
Yes, sir.
that the referees would ask. So you surely need
So
to
may I
show
know?
some prior results.
Yes, sir, definitely. It will be our pleasure that if you will share your paper so that we can make a research problem from the review of literature, we
Yeah.
can define our research objective. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your
Thank
help.
you very
Now I think
much.
I'm very much clear. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank
and
you.
if you could write, any way of I could send you the email, that would be perfectly fine.
So please tell your email ID so that all of us can know.
I can write it to the chat. I think that's more convenient.
Right, sir. Right.
So
Dr.
whenever,
Burak, excuse Dr.
yeah,
Burak, I want to add here. I'm also one of the teammates of this research study. In our
welcome,
case,
Monica.
we
Yeah.
were using. Thank you. In our case, we were using totally the conventional mode of teaching, the classroom teaching only, mostly. And this time only
Okay.
because of this pandemic, we have to shift to this online teaching. So
Okay.
that is why in this case, the our study is justified in terms of comparison between the earlier classroom teaching and now shifting on to the online teaching mode.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. I was just referring to the fact that maybe, I mean, we all don't know whether this virus has already come to an end or not. So maybe it will be not possible to return back to the original physical classroom for, let's say, 4 or 5 generations, and this means 4 or 5 cohorts.
Good
So
morning, sir.
this is something that I was referring to, Monica. Of course, it is even more difficult when there were no digital classes at all. So when there were no digital contents in that sense. And I believe that's something
Uh,
that actually a lot of
good,
universities went through. So my university, including, how to improve the digital classes would be also another topic. So it is possible
right.
that the guys say, okay, not anymore physical classes, but not the digital class in this form. This can be, of course, technical difficulties, but it can be also the difficulty of learning, which, of course, you can make a bridge to the learning literature. That's why I was referring to tacit knowledge.
Right, sir. Got it. Thank you so
Okay, thank
much.
you, Monica. Thank you,
Good
Robin.
morning,
And
sir.
good
Thank you,
morning,
sir.
Shital.
Yeah, actually, the topic we have taken is more or less related to it, so that's why I wanted to present for my topic now.
Yeah,
Am
please
I
go
audible?
ahead, Shital.
Yeah, actually, we are from a technical background. We are from ITs,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm just trying to share my slide.
That's okay. Take your
So what
time.
actually what you were saying is actually the main crux of our presentation or our study is that the current time is coming, or we can say that maybe because of COVID-19 or maybe because of the tech savvy generations which is coming, they want everything on demand, from food to technology to media, everything. So I think the coming generation would be more inclined towards the. Actually, this is forcing us to a forced, we can say, a forced decision towards the virtual classroom. Because earlier COVID, because we have a liability for going for a virtual classroom or a normal classroom. But with this, I think we will be we are forced to move towards the virtual classroom. So, are you able to see my slide?
Unfortunately, not. Although your topic sounds very much interesting, Shital. I mean,
Okay, sir, I have shared it. I think it should be because it's visible on my screen.
um, how can we do it? So, as
Just,
far as I do, you need to click these 3 points and then say
yes, sir, sir, I'm doing that.
share my screen, and then you need to push the start button. If you don't push the start button, then it doesn't share. Maybe that's the problem.
Okay, let me just give me a couple of seconds.
Okay, that's okay. Take your time. So very interesting research questions so far, and of course, I mean, of course, the content is
Uh,
also important, but our focus is just to put the content in a broader frame so that the referee
yes,
can
sir.
say, you didn't hear about this and you didn't hear about that, and I'm rejecting it, and so on.
Okay.
Not because the research is not okay. The research itself and the questions are perfectly nicely formulated, just as the issue is always in the journals, referring to a broader frame. Sheetal, I think now something is happening.
So
It
yes,
was saying that
actually
you
I was
are
trying from
sharing
laptop, but I was earlier trying from my laptop, but it was not going fine. So I think I have to continue with my mobile only.
Okay, that's okay. So we are listening to you, Sheetal.
Yeah, sure. So
Is
we
it a
are also
group work
concerned.
or
Is
are you
it
doing it
so
on your own?
actually we are actually 4 to 5 persons because we
Mhm.
are from IT and only 4 5 persons are left. So if we're going for a single group of 3 persons, 1 person of ours is left, and we are from SD college.
Mhm.
So I think now it should be visible.
Unfortunately not.
Uh,
I mean, it
Sir,
is
it's
saying
coming.
that you are sharing your
Yeah.
screen, but I think you need to push the start button, start to share the screen.
So it's already started.
Or I don't know if anyone
It's
else can
visible.
help.
Yes, sir, it's visible. We can see it. Your screen is
Okay,
visible.
then
Real
I
learning
must
in
have a
virtual class.
problem
Yeah.
with that because I don't see it. I'm not sure what's going on. Let's. Okay, I think I'm in.
Yeah. So it's visible, I think. So it's
Okay,
visible, I
so I
think.
don't see it, but you can go on. Sheetal just
Yeah.
think that I can't see it, so you can
So,
summarize it a little bit
so
more.
I hope now you can see this.
Unfortunately, not Sheetal.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on.
I think rest of other members are saying it's visible to them.
Okay,
Yeah, it's visible.
that's very nice. It's a pity that I can't see it.
Yeah, it's visible, people. Okay, thank
Okay.
you. So my topic of research is real learning in the virtual classroom. So my idea or our team's idea is to extract what is the actual learning we are getting from the virtual classrooms. So what are the opportunities, challenges, and possibilities behind this? So the issues we are addressing here is the main. I have pointed out these. I will just read out for you. How to evaluate actual learning in the era of e-learning via virtual classrooms. So actually, in virtual classrooms, we have lots of limitations. Like we don't know whether what the other side is happening, how the students are giving a total participation or not, whether they are grasping what we are trying to. Because in a real classroom, we have face-to-face interaction, though we have come to know that whether the student is properly observing the things or not, whether he has attentively paying to the class teacher or not. So first a point we will be addressing how to evaluate how much e-learning has been extracting from this e-learning. Second point we are saying how to conduct a disciplined exam in an extraneous infrastructure. So if somebody say that online papers are already in the current scenario, but my point here is whenever examination is conducted for the current scenario, the infrastructure is being provided by the conductor, right? So maybe a UGC exam or any online exam, the infrastructure, the system, or the whole setup is controlled by the conductor of the exam only. But in case of this kind of learning, where everything is dependent upon I'm teaching from my laptop, and the student is taking classes from his laptop. So how could I can control the exam when he is performing exam from his own laptop? So that means I am totally dependent upon this extraneous infrastructure. Extraneous means that I have no control how he will be behaving with the system, right? So if I have given in the exam also, he is cheating or he is consulting somebody else sitting beside him, or he has opened the book, I have very less control. Or I think most of the time I can say very little control over it. Next question we are going to cover is how to overcome the hurdles in the network or internet-based scenarios. Like today also we are just trying to connect there, but we are not able to connect. You are not able to see my slides, or sometimes network issue is there. Sometimes internet is not proper, bandwidth is not proper. So how these issues will be handled? Or also, if everything will be going into this is a future, like e-learning will be a future, how we will connect the remote areas or the rural areas where the network or bandwidth is really very low. Another point we have is how to ensure that the total participation of learners and the interactive observation of the teachers. That is, it is quite difficult to ensure that the learner is properly inculcated into the learning practice or the classroom. He is totally into it, or whether he is gathering what we are intending to teach him. Sometimes it has happened because current generation is really they want to live on their own terms. They just give providers notes. We don't want to hear for the lecture. So there we can't force him to see the lecture. Maybe he log into the system and leave the system for a while, and teacher is not aware of it, right? So it is an important aspect how we will going to control this. Next point is how to stimulate the practical exposure online. This is a very key point, and I think bigger drawback of the online or virtual classrooms that, for example, in science streams they have wet lab, wet experiments, or obviously on computers also. Sometimes we want hands-on experience with the teacher as well as the student on the same machine. So it is quite difficult to simulate that practical classroom environment to the student in virtual classroom. So these will be the key issues I think one must be going when everything turns to the online. Nextly, we have, sir, next slide is why this research is interesting and important. So I think the situation already depicts in itself why it is important. The current prevailing circumstances of the lockdown, where physically and socially everything is on hold, and world has been continuing on virtual wheels of internet, social media, and technology. Now, e-learning has already taken over the classroom teaching, but what about the in-depth evaluation of the student is still a question for the big institutes currently with universities. Even because I can say this because even in our college and our universities, the question is still open that how we are going to conduct the exam, how we are going to evaluate our students. Because it is not always that MCQs are a proper solution to evaluate a student. Sometimes we need a descriptive answers also that how much student has learned. So it is still in question that how we are going to replace that written paper-based evaluation to paperless at this point of concern, right? So nextly we have what will be the value addition of this research. So because sir, online and virtual classroom will be a forced future, maybe due to demand of current education system or tech-savvy generation, or maybe because situations like COVID-19. So it's just actually COVID-19 is just an explosion in this system, I think. But otherwise, if you go and observe the current generation also, they all want everything on demand. They said, when we will feel like we will do this, just provide us note, we will do this. And if they want the education also on demand, so we want or we don't want, it will be a forced future, I guess, that everything will be going to be online now. So online evaluation techniques, because we are from IT background, so we are looking for some techniques that which could address that I previously mentioned challenges that we have mentioned on previous slide, that can prove as an impactful, promising outcome for online learning. I mean, if we get answers of these questions, that how to evaluate a student on paperless space, and how to ensure that he is properly taking participation in the learning class, and how to replace that wet practical scenario in virtual classrooms. If we got answers to these questions, I think the e-learning, all the drawbacks which e-learning has, it all will get rectified, and it will have an impactful outcome in the e-learning. So that's what my value addition. I think I have done. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you very much, Shital. I mean, very interesting research question, and you did a lot of theory and a lot of concepts in this. And I think the big challenge is, as you say, how we can operationalize these theoretical constructs, which is, of course, I mean, the one dimension is you can do a perfectly fine survey and do the Cronbach's alpha, which shows you the consistency of survey. So that's not a problem. The problem is furthermore how you operationalize the research question into the current literature. So from being from an IT background is quite an important issue. Nevertheless, I think you must have at least one person on the board who is familiar with knowledge management literature. Why? Because knowledge management topics have been addressing these for a number of years. The only difference is now, and I think I am getting it correct as far as I see, you are saying until now everything was analog and now everything is digital, right?
Yes. Yes, sir, you can say that. And also,
So,
sir, earlier also was there, but behind the e-learning at that time was a self-motivation factor. That means if I
mhm,
want to learn something, I have enrolled in the course online, and I will learn for myself because
mhm,
I want to learn. But now it will be a forced decision for all the students also, because students are not self-motivated to learn, right? So it is also an important point how we'll make them self-motivated, because in the online scenario we don't have control on over their systems, right? So whether they are taking participation or not, or whether
yeah,
the things are actually running as we are running in the live classroom, so it will be an important question.
yeah, and I mean, I think your setup has a big advantage. So I can tell from my experience in Germany, in France, in Canada, where I have been either as a researcher or a guest researcher,
Mm-hmm.
that I mean, there are two ways of the shift to the digitalization, right? One of them is an incremental way, small changes over time, going like this, right? So, what was the case there, especially in West Europe and in Canada? They had what they called blended learning. So, some parts of the lecture were real, other parts were digital. And then there was a different motivation from the student side because they had to do the both. So it was in combination. They were not complements. They were not substitutes. They were complementing each other. So in that case, Western Europe and Canada had kind of a problematic incremental evolution towards the digitalization. Why? Because every 10 years they were changing the learning platforms, the online learning systems, and so on. And every new attempt was in the feeling worse than the previous attempt. So they have a different perspective. I think when you take a look at this literature from West Europe, from North America, you would notice that students are fed up with this. Now, India has a chance, and especially your study has a chance. Why? Because this is not the incremental evolution here. This is just an abrupt change from today to tomorrow, shifting everything analog to everything digital. So I think the psychological component of learning in that case is different than the perspective in most of the studies from the West. Why? Because they had small steps and they try to blend the learning, and at the end everyone was fed up. So they are even fed up now, and this is a different motivation. So here more chances are open, more potentials are open because of this sudden change, not the incremental change. So this would be the first thing that I would mention, because anyone who would look from the outside would think, okay, this is just another paper about e-learning. It is not. It is a different perspective, and I think you have a big chance there with your unique perspective. Now, the issue is that how, again, just like I talked about the research of Robin and Monica, how do you frame the problem? So you need to find a way, and there the IT guys need to combine with education guys. You need to find a way to combine your IT problem with the current literature on e-learning, which is mainly education dominated. So this is best done by having a co-author or at least one of you focusing on the education literature, and at that point, I think the systematic reviews can help you a lot. So I mean, the problem is a little bit different. So here you have a lot of theory and a lot of concepts, and you need to operationalize them. And for that, I think you would need the e-learning literature, where they have developed a lot of scales to measure these impacts. Just you may need to change it and modify it for your own conditions. Shital? Any response from Shital? I can't hear her if she is responding.
Hello? Yes, sir.
Yes,
Sir, point
Sheetal is
taken.
back.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. Network issue
That's
again.
okay.
Yeah. So yes, I have already noted you all the points. Thanks for suggestions. So we are really looking forward to do something fruitful in this area.
Thank you very much, Sheetal. And one final question. What is actually your hypothesis? What is your working hypothesis? We talked about it a little bit. So what do you suggest as a working hypothesis?
Sir, currently we are just saying that there will be some lackings in the virtual classroom as compared to the real classrooms. So we will try to rectify and find the possibilities and challenges we can work on. So
Thank you. Thank you very much,
yeah, thank you,
Sheetal.
sir. Thank you, sir.
This is a very important issue. So, I mean, two topics about e-learning so far, and one on tourism industry. But all of them have the common issue of COVID-19. So, this is something nice. This means that until now, all groups have updated themselves to the current ongoing debate, and this is also what happens in the literature. So you may have a nice topic, but if it is from the perspective of the journals out of date, then you have a big problem. Why? Because they would say, okay, nobody's interested in this topic anymore. But you would say, okay, this is my topic and I think it is very relevant now. So we constantly need to keep ourselves updated regarding the current literature, regarding the ongoing debates. And my advice to all, so I already see the next topic, but before you go on, guys, my advice to all is take a look at the call for papers of journals.
Yes, sir.
Already a lot of journals are focusing on COVID-19, and even one of my colleagues, he has also a call of paper for something associated with COVID-19. He is also the one with whom we wrote the papers that I introduced you on Friday. So already a lot of active call for papers from important journals. So you just need to target some of them and of course adopt your literature based on their journal as well. So if you are sending your paper to a journal but do not cite any papers from the journal, they would have the feeling that you didn't read anything about them. So that would be another advice from my side. I think I talked too much now. I already see the slides and I already see the next topic. So guys, you are on. Okay, I see the slides, but I don't hear anything. Is it happening the same way to anyone?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Who is talking? Do you have any slides?
Yes.
Very nice. Nupur.
Yes.
Very good. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. So starting with the introduction of my team, the team comprised of two members, Dr. Ajay Sharma and Nupur. Topic of research, household shift from brick and mortar to online retailers during COVID-19. Question that I am addressing in the research, what makes households want shift from offline retailers to online retailers during pandemic? That is by Baker et al. 2020. Why is the problem interesting? Problem is interesting because consumer mindset is continuously shifting because of this pandemic. That is by McKinsey report 2020. The findings of survey by the McKinsey also revealed that the consumers are doubling on groceries during this pandemic. So this makes me curious to study consumer behavior in online grocery shopping. Why is the problem important? Problem is important because response of household shift to the pandemic remains unexplored. Connection with the broader disciplinary conversation. This would help me in understanding of consumer behavior and also to other researchers, especially during the condition of this pandemic. What would my research add? The study is expected to show the unpredictable technology acceptance behavior during the time of uncertainty. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nupur. I mean, very interesting topic regarding online retail, and of course, we are already seeing a certain shift. So one of my friends just here in Cyprus opened such a platform, and we were talking with him the other day, and he was telling, this is where the future is going on. So I'm also interested in seeing the answers. So how are people changing the behavior? So in that sense, the topic is not only current, but I think there will be a much growing interest. Why? Because now when we are seeing the big supermarkets out there, the big shops, they are not usually selling things online through their own website. They are selling it through platforms established by some youngsters. So one of my friends who did this platform, he's actually a producer of pastries. So he has nothing to do with the internet. But he found a market gap there and he said, okay, we are going to move on. Now, Nupur, if I may, my questions would be more in two directions. So I already see the next slides, but I think let's better wait because I would have a few questions to Nupur. So the first question would be, how are you framing your research problem in a broader topical way? So just COVID-19 may not be enough in that sense because there's already a very big literature regarding online retail. So how are you framing that? That would be my first question.
So firstly, I would be interested in knowing the response of consumers, that is how they are shifting from offline retailers to online retailers, and especially during this pandemic, since because in our country we have not yet moved to the end of digitalization, that is we have not accepted the digitalization fully. We are still at the stage of that we go to shops and buy groceries from there, and still many people are going to shops for buying groceries just because they find handling internet difficult. So this is what I am interested in, that what makes people forced to accept such online behavior during this pandemic.
Okay, and the follow-up question. So again, it may not be the case in India, but as long as you are doing research, you need to think in global terms. So how do you place your research problem in the global literature, in the international literature? That would be my question. Why? Because that would be also the first question by the referee. You can say, okay, in India it's a very new thing, but in other countries it was a new thing maybe 5 years ago. So you need to somehow connect your research, your findings with the international perspective. And you can see differences there. So maybe you would see there is a bigger acceptance rate now, which is not the case in Western Europe, maybe. I don't know. So how do you see the things from that perspective?
So I would be finding out basically the impact of situational factors on the intention of consumers to accept technology during this time period.
Okay,
Secondly,
so
I would be
technology acceptance and resistance to technology. So this is a nice
yes.
topic. This is an ongoing topic, and I think you can find a lot of literature on that topic. So don't get me wrong. I'm not referring that you are not doing anything new. On the contrary, you are doing something very new. And this is how you are going to say, okay, many people wrote this and wrote that about technology acceptance, but what I'm doing is something very new. So I believe the issue is because the digitalization did not take any place in case of online retail, as you refer, now again, it is not an incremental change over time. It is an abrupt change from today to tomorrow. So, and I think there people's technology acceptance tend to be higher because of, they don't have many choices in that case. So I think in that sense, when you frame the problem from that perspective, so technology acceptance in a shock, I think you have something very powerful. And I mean, the topic itself is speaking for itself, but just to adjust it to the expectations of the referees. So I'm always not telling you just my perspective, but referring to what referees tell me when I send my papers. What are the things that are missing in my papers? I need to revise. So I'm telling to you so that you don't need to revise in that case. So you already have a strong background. So don't get me in the wrong direction. It's just about, they want to see that you are familiar with the literature. So nothing bad about it. And the second issue that I would like to point out is that, of course, it is not very recent, but in 1999 to 2001, there was the so-called dot-com bubble. What was that? So that was the period, the dot-com bubble.
Okay.
So that was the period where a lot of internet firms were opened up, and they had very big budgets and so on. So all of a sudden there was an abrupt shift to the internet. And then the bubble burst. So this turned into a very severe crisis, especially in the United States. So my hint would be to take a look at the studies from that era, before the bubble burst, what they were saying about online retail, because back then the conditions were different. So people were forecasting that everything would be online forever, but then the bubble burst, and many of those online firms went down or went bankrupt, and some of them, of course, survived. I mean, think of Amazon. It is just one of them. So I myself, I did my PhD on product innovations, and one of the things that I used was a framework from that era. So that was about how internet is being an innovation infrastructure, so an infrastructural innovation. And I think this is what is happening in India now, as far as I see. So it is the next round of infrastructure innovation that is going on. I would be more than glad to send you the paper. So
Sure,
it is
sir.
by Dolaka. I already wrote my mail address. So if you send me a mail, I would be more than glad to send you the paper. And I think comparing the situation now with that era is, in some ways, it's a similar thing. So all of a sudden we see many firms, and many of my friends already own internet platforms for online retail. So, and this is not their job actually. One of them is a pastry producer. The other one is actually a programming guy for infrastructures and so on. So things are changing, and I think you captured that zeitgeist, that change spirit in your research very well. So thank you, Nopur, for this interesting research.
Thank you for your suggestion, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, I already saw the slides, something about Zoom bombing or something like that. So
Yes, sir. Sir, I am ready.
welcome, Amita. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. What about you?
Thank you very much. But no, I don't see the slides.
Sir, wait a minute.
Very nice. Something is happening. Very nice.
Okay. Sir, myself, Amita, and my team members are Neelam Kumari, Sakshi Verma. We are from Pandit Mohanlal History College, Fatehgarh, Churia, and my research topic is today prevention from Zoom bombing. As we all aware about it, that Zoom bombing, that nowadays due to COVID-19, students can't go to schools, colleges, so they are taught from the homes. And in recent day, Zoom app was at high level of using this app. So due to some issues, it has been banned by the government also, but still some people are using this Zoom app. So Zoom bombing, what is Zoom bombing? in which uninvited attendants break in and disrupt the meetings and often with hate the field or pornographic content. Means while teaching, students share some illegal videos in the teaching period. So I have taken this topic regarding my research. Next, the problems and various issues has been taken. The problem is main the safety, security, that this is not safe. As in the newspaper daily, it is coming by the government also that stop using the Zoom app. And I have attached some newspaper cuttings in which the various news have been taken regarding the Zoom app. Now, issues which I have taken the question, main issues which is security, hackers, and privacies. These are the major issues while using the Zoom app and even various apps which we are using in daily life nowadays. What are the issues? What if we use the Zoom app? If Zoom app is not safe, how to fix the Zoom audio problem, how to remove Zoom privacies and security problems, why don't they take it down, how attacker attacks. After that, I have taken the interesting and important fact that why I have chosen this Zoom bombing research topic. Because nowadays we all are using this app, that million of people staying at home, they are using this app as the due to the coronavirus. 200 million were people using in the March, 300 million people were using in the April. But due to some securities issues, various things has been taken, that in the March 20th, the application made for the it was made for the desktop. Then in March 29, they have complete many applications. Then in April 1, again, these are the different things has been related to the Zoom app. In April 2, then in April 3, the end-to-end encryptions was there. Then through that, the government had decided that this is not secure. So for these reasons, there has been, I have taken few dates, what the decisions have been taken by the various organizations and the Zoom especially, that what they have taken the step for this app. Tips that will be help to prevent the Zoom bombing. That is, update your Zoom app, use a unique ID and password for calls, create a waiting room, make sure only the host can share their screen, create an invite only for meeting, lock a meeting once it starts, kick some out or put them on hold, disable someone's camera, prevent animated CIFs and other files in the chat, and manage who can chat. So that's and stay safe, stay secure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Amita. I mean, first question, was it intended as a research topic?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because in this form, it more looks like a manual, a technical manual on how to use Zoom better. So I don't see the research question there.
Okay, sir.
So all of these things that you mentioned, I mean, there are already answers to these. So you can make sure that only hosts, only invited persons can join and so on. So what is the research question that we don't know yet? So
Sir, my research question was to how we can prevent ourselves from these apps, because daily we people are using these apps and we have fear that how can we be secure from these apps, or how our data cannot be shared with other people's. So that was my research work.
okay, but again, I mean, these are known questions, these are known answers. So how does your research differ from newspaper article? So what are you going to say? You already have the results. Are you going to do a survey, or I mean, how deep are you going to explore the topic?
Yeah, sir, I am serving on these all things, what is happening with the Zoom app. That nowadays everyone is using this app, but due to some securities and many other reasons, they have been stopped. They have been banned by the government also, but still people are using this app. So for that, I want that if we are using this app, that this can be very good for the people if we give them various securities to the people. So I want to work on it, that how we can prevent it more people from these such types of app. And I have taken one example from the Zoom.
Yes, but again, okay, so what you are referring to are technical issues, like you can block someone's camera or you can
Yes,
prevent
sir.
others to join and so on. But
Yes,
these are
sir.
just technical hints to people that you can find. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can find all of these hints in computing magazines. So, how is your question a research question? So these are the more the issues of newspaper articles,
Yes, sir.
computing magazines, and so on. So, what are you doing that goes into the scientific research? You are more doing the technical research. So how are you going to transfer the technical research into a scientific research? That's my question.
Okay, sir. Sir, I want to take it into technical research that we can apply more algorithms, more securities algorithm on it, so that no one can be fair from these apps.
Okay, I mean, thank you, Amita.
Okay, sir.
Hello, sir.
Hello, Amarjit. Welcome. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, sir. Sir, I'll not be able to present the slides, but I'll be speaking up my topic.
Okay, that's perfectly fine.
Okay, sir. The topic we have decided is again related to COVID-19. So, we have decided that our study will aim to investigate the immediate impact of COVID-19 pandemic on mental health and maybe on the quality of life among people also. So, we will be including many factors like social and family support, mental health related to lifestyle changes, negative mental health impacts, and their indicators also. So, I think our problem is important because we have recently seen that, and there is a lot of news regarding the spread of fear, anxiety, panic influences, etc. And also, there are many other emotional responses regarding the current circumstances, which has already led to worsening of pre-existing psychiatric disorders also. So with the pandemic, many activities have already been stopped, which involved human relations. We can include many things like there are many forced adaptations also, like people are supposed to live with a limited number of people in their family, or some people are even living alone in isolation, so it is difficult for them to live in such kind of conditions. So it has also been seen that wide ranging negative and long lasting psychological impacts like anger, confusion, post traumatic stress, etc., such kinds of things are also associated with lockdown, fear of infection, frustration. These things may be due to lack of basic supplies, living alone in isolation, not interacting with people, insufficient information, and many kinds of financial problems also. So I think this topic is important because we can relate this topic to each and every individual. So we have decided that we will conduct our study on the people who are above 18 years of age. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Amarjit. Very interesting topic about what's happening in terms of well-being, and more interesting that you are choosing the so-called digital natives, the 18 years old persons and above, who were actually more inclined towards the digital, but I think they still had some social component in their life. So, very interesting issue. What is the broad topic that you are referring to? So, is it the well being literature? Is it the happiness literature? And how are you going to measure it? So, what is the
Sir,
hypothesis that you are referring to?
So we are basically considering only the impact of COVID-19 on the mental health. So mental health will be the broader aspect, I think so.
And
Mental health, or maybe we can also relate it to the quality of life, or maybe as you are saying that it can be indirectly linked to happiness as well. Rest, you can suggest us some hypothesis relevant to this.
So, I mean, one of the things is that there is a very big literature on the topic of well-being and happiness, the so-called
Okay, sir.
happiness research. So, this is
Okay,
one of
sir.
the things that I would first take a look at. Why? Because they already have their journals, they already have their opinion leaders, and so on. And I think, I mean, some countries are more advanced in terms of happiness in comparison to the others. So, for example, Bhutan has the
Yes, sir.
so-called the gross happiness index instead of the gross domestic product incorporated in its constitution. So these are the things that we can refer to. I mean, on the one side, we can say, okay, less social contact and distancing, handshaking is not good, and so on. So this is the negative aspect. But on the other side, people are spending more time with their families. They are doing their jobs from home. Everything that they need comes from the outside, and so on. So these may be the positive directions. I mean, the issue is that
Yes,
is the
sir. But
positive. Yeah, please go ahead, Amarjit.
sir, we were considering only the negative thing, because otherwise it will be a very wide, it will become very wide and scattered topic if we'll include both positive as well
Yeah,
as negative things. So
that's
we
okay.
were trying to be limited to the negative impacts only. Rest your suggestions are most welcome.
Thank you. I mean, this is very good, and you can put it as a further research topic in the limitations that you only focused on negative. So you already have the conclusion in that sense. I really like this, and I mean, what is changing? So everybody is asking, what is the new normal? What will be the new normal? And there are different hypotheses. So I mean, that can be one point where you emphasize it. What is the new normal? So this is in the current research. This is in newspapers. This is in journal call for papers. After you are done, Amarjit, I would be sharing one call for papers by my colleague
Okay,
Tuber
sir.
Kaya, who is focusing on digitalization and COVID-19. So I think it will be interesting for many. And again, so what is going on there? And everybody's asking, what is the new normal? And what you are referring to is what is the new normal in terms of the well-being, in terms of how well-being is negatively affected. Why? Because if
Yes, sir.
well-being is negatively affected, if we have a measure towards that, we can understand what the new normal well-being will be. And of course, you need to differentiate between what is temporary, what is permanent. We don't know it about yet. So I think until you
Yes,
are
sir.
done with the research, you would know a little bit more. But I think, I mean, the topic itself is quite novel in that sense, and it has a good research question. Just you need to take a little bit look on the literature on happiness and well-being.
Okay,
And
sir. Fine.
one of the things that I would suggest is especially that there are some topics in the recent years by Martin Binder, German colleague of mine, who
Okay,
focused
sir.
a lot on well-being. So I think his papers can be a good start. I think I can write it to again here, Martin Binder, and he won a few prizes with that. Binder, not Bindat. Okay. And any other things that you would like to add, Amarjit?
No, sir. We have decided up till here only. Rest, we will study more, review more literature.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll ask you questions.
Okay, so thank you, Amarjit. Now, before we move on to the next presentation, I would like to share this call for papers by one of my colleagues and a joint colleague of myself and Gagan, Sir Tuberkaya, who would be editing a journal issue of International Journal of Public Administration in the Digital Age. This is a journal. So just one moment, I will be sharing the link with you. Okay, I shared the link in the chat place. So, I mean, this has the deadline of, I think, 7th of July. So, you still have some time to submit it. And what is it about? So, the special issue that he is referring to is about COVID-19 pandemics and its effect on digitalization of organizations. So you can put many things under this title, and he is a colleague who knows the issues of digitalization quite well. So he was previously one of our e-state, electronic state, electronic government board members who determined the digitalization policy. So I would suggest to take a look at the call for papers. You still have time for that, and I think for many of you the research topic fits squarely within the journal. So that would be my input, and I think we already have one next topic. So let's take a look at the topic by Team Pathbreakers. Okay. Welcome.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Sir, the topic of my research is
Okay, now I lost the voice. I lost the voice, so I don't hear anything.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, myself Neha, and we are Team Pathbreakers, and the group members are Dr. Ruchi Sharma and Neha. So the topic of the research is impact of bank credit on economic growth. And the research problem will be in view of the fact that finance is prerequisite for the development of the economy, the study will aim to identify is there long relationship between bank credit and economic growth across Indian states. So the relevance of the study is to study the credit output nexus by using data of Indian states during the period of 1981 to 2018. The Indian states have experienced different pace of economic growth, with some states showing fast progress and others languishing behind. The study will identify whether the credit output nexus is highly pronounced in developed states in comparison to less developed states. And testing the same for large data of 29 states for 38 years will throw some light on credit output nexus in Indian states.
Hence, the present study is pursued in this direction to fill the gap. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. My first question would be, of course, economic growth is quite important. And
Yes,
in that sense, thank you very much. So the most recent paper for the research gap that you are referring to is 16 years old. What happened between 2004 and now?
Pardon, sir?
So the most recent paper that you are referring to in your research gap is from 2004. So it is 16 years old. So my question would be, what happened after that? So what do we know about the relation between credit and economic growth for the last 16 years?
Sir, there is nationalization in 1969 of some banks in India, and there are made changes in economic growth and bank credit
Mm-hmm.
deployment. Yes, sir.
So, but again, I mean, I'm not asking about the situation in India. You are referring to a number of papers in the slide that you are showing as your research gap. Among others,
Yes, sir.
McKinnon, whom I got to know personally, very big loss. So my question is, if you are telling that something is a gap in the literature from the point of 2004, this is outdated. So what is going on in the actual literature? Is there really a research gap in the current literature? So if you are referring to the research gap of 2004, maybe in 2005 someone else wrote something and closed that gap. So that's what I'm asking.
Sir,
And
there
it is
is
not about, sorry, Nilam is referring to the data. I'm not referring to the data. I'm referring to the research gap defined in the literature. So this must be very recent. This must be very new. If you start your research gap with 1967, you get rejected by all journals. So it must be from the last 3 to 4 years.
sir, according to Sherawat in 2017, sir, in their paper, the purpose was to examine the relationship between financial development and economic growth in India. And they taken the annual data from 1982 to 2012, and their result shows there is a they identify that there is a long run relationship in financial development and economic growth for India.
Okay, and what is the research gap when you take a look at the recent literature of the last 3 years? So what is the thing that has not been analyzed yet for India?
Sorry, sir, I can't get you.
Okay, so you are referring to a recent study about India, and I'm
Yes,
asking
sir.
you, what is the research gap when you take a look at it? So what is the thing that has not yet been analyzed that you are going to do? In other words, what is your research problem?
So my research problem is there long run relationship between bank credit and economic growth across Indian states?
And this is not something that has been researched already, you are referring.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this must be emphasized. I mean, the causal relation itself is quite interesting, and of course, Granger causality can be an interesting way to analyze it. I'm not sure which kind of economic tests you were referring to, but it must be clear that your literature is only based on the recent 4 or 5 years, so 2015 to 2020, let's say, because otherwise you get rejected by all journals. So they put a lot of emphasis on recent literature. And I mean, don't just think in terms of journals. I mean, you need to show to everyone that you are updated in terms of the current
Oh,
literature. So This is a no-go
okay, sir.
if you refer to papers that are 50 years old, 55 years old, unless you are doing a topic on economic history, which is not your topic. So I must be clear on that in order to protect you guys from rejections.
Oh,
Why?
okay,
Because
sir.
you send a paper to a journal, you wait 6 months, 7 months. In the meantime, your data is outdated, and then comes the rejection saying that you are not referring to any recent studies. Okay, so better
Okay,
we
sir.
talk about it now than you taste the bitter rejection because of that later on, because the topic itself is novel. Now,
Okay,
my
sir.
question would be, what would be the econometric tests that you would be doing?
Sir, economic test. Sir, we are doing the panel data analysis. Yes, sir.
And how are you going to determine the causality? So you are referring to the causal relations. So how is it going to happen in a panel data?
Sir, we are considering the panel co-integration and fully modified ordinary least square,
Very
and
good.
this will be based on the question, like it is based on the states of India, records of the time, like we are doing like that.
Okay, but what is the econometric test? Are you doing the Granger causality, or what kind of causality concept? Because you may be well aware that in econometrics there are many types of causalities. So which one are you using? That's my question.
So, uh, uh, um, sir, I only think about the panel co-integration and fully modified ordinary least square test only.
Okay.
But yes, sir. But I don't think about of this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just referring to because I myself wrote a PhD thesis on causality, but it was the Lehmann-Waffenschmidt type of causality. So one of the things that people would ask you is that when you are sending your research or presenting your research, especially to econometricians who are very sensitive about methodology, the first thing they would ask you is, what kind of causality do you mean? Do you mean the Granger
Okay, sir.
causality? Do you mean the Lehmann-Waffenschmidt causality? Do you mean any other causality? So this would be,
Okay,
I mean, this is something that you don't see in the literature regarding
okay, sir.
regarding the finance. You would be finding this in the literature regarding econometrics. So that would be my other hint, in order to,
Okay, sir.
not to give them the chance to, reject you.
Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you
Thank you,
very
sir.
much. Very interesting topic, and I think, especially after nationalization, we would be expecting very surprising results regarding that, regarding the different development paths of different states. Okay. Anyone else wishing to present?
Hi, Burak, I'm back.
Hello, Gagan. Welcome.
I was just listening to some of the presentations. I think they have done quite a good job. And based on the discussion that we had the other day, I think the assignments, the way in which they have finished their assignments is really laudable. I'm not sure how
True
many
that.
have presented, and are there some presentations still remaining?
So we had so far 7 groups, so 7 group presentations. I'm not sure if any other groups are left, or how it is. So yeah, I mean, also
Shall I,
from
sir?
my side, very good work based on what we discussed earlier. So I agree with Gagan completely, and I think we already have the next presentation by Pooja.
Just sir, I'm presenting.
Yeah, please go ahead, Pooja. Welcome.
Is the screen visible, sir?
Unfortunately, not. Pooja?
Yes, sir. Just a minute.
Okay.
Is it visible, sir?
Unfortunately
Now?
not. I don't see it. I'm not sure if your colleagues can see it. Now I can see it.
Okay, sir. Shall I start, sir?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, sir. The team which is presenting is budding researchers, and myself, Pooja Mehta, and the two other teammates are Ms. Suvita Kamra and Ms. Amarjit Kaur from Aurobindo College of Commerce itself. The topic of our research will be, sir, rediscovering tourism post COVID-19. As the saying with what is the problem, issue, or question that are asking and addressing in your research, the answer will be: will the tourism industry be able to bounce back swiftly once the COVID-19 pandemic crisis has been passed? Why this problem is interesting and important? So it is very important for a researcher to first go into the literature or the scenario all around for building any research problem. So for answering that why this problem is important, I have to go to some news. So particularly Times of India says on May 10, 2020, that Shimla tourism business badly hits by COVID-19 pandemic. Then the another news on the same day, May 10, by first post, it says Sikkim's plans to ban tourism till October threatens livelihood of thousands. Industry demands tax breaks, remissions on loans to wade through COVID pandemic. These two were the insights from the news. Then I went on the literature, and the literature of the recent time of 2020 itself. It is a preliminary study, actually. It is a time, it is, I think, the paper from March or April. Yeah. It says a preliminary study of novel coronavirus disease or outbreak. Sir, the outcome of this study was that there will be some, problems for the, yeah, you can say challenges for the tourism industry in the form of devastating airlines, record job losses, shuttered borders, halt of transportation, cancellation of bookings, and reluctancy to travel. So these were the major six highlights which they gave, but they did not provide any, they just left it for a future scope of research as to how the companies can, they can be resilient and come out of this. So this gave me an impetus to go further into this. And the second, study which another helped me was by Page and Yama of 2007. It is related to some other flu, sir. How Visit Scotland, which is Visit Scotland is one very leading tourism organization of Scotland. So the study told us that how Visit Scotland prepared for a flu pandemic, and they shared their insights that it was through various mechanisms, which include scenario planning, economic forecasting, in-house workshops, and contingency plans. So noting the entire tourism industry being hard hit by the COVID-19, as the upper said insights have told us, it becomes pertinent to understand if tourism industry is resilient enough to recover and rebound from COVID-19. So that is why this problem I found to be interesting and important. How does your work connect with a broader disciplinary conversation about this topic? So my answer would be, with every challenge, there comes an opportunity. Therefore, this study will contribute in analyzing as to how prepared the tourism industry is in accepting these challenges as an opportunity, and what strategies can be used by the industry for coming out of this crisis. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Very interesting topic, and of course, tourism. I mean, it has something to do with forecasts, isn't it? So
Yes,
it's
sir.
not a
Yes, sir.
question of whether we will have tourism in the future or not, but it's a question of when and how. Am I getting
Yes,
it
sir.
correct?
Yes, definitely, sir.
So how do you think you would be able to make that forecast? I mean, don't think in terms of a model and data. Think of
Yes,
it as
sir,
a
it will be.
conceptual forecast. So how is it
Sir,
going to
I
occur?
will be taking. Sir, what I have thought is I'll be taking the model of resilience. There's a model I could not, grasp it thoroughly. Yesterday I was going through it, but yes, I have to go further into this. There is a model in psychology for resilience, how you come out of that situation. So there are some defined variables into that. So I will use those variables with respect to tourism industry, and my respondents will be the tourism management agencies. So I shall be fetching the data from them, and I shall be putting the data into that resilient model which is given by the psychologist. So with this mode I am anticipating to go further into my research.
Very good. And I mean, it is something that we didn't see yet. So there was, I think the most recent case was the Second World War, after which the whole world order changed. But
Yes.
we didn't really see the impact. And I think one interesting thing is that just a few weeks ago, I came across in the news that there was a document by the German intelligence agency to the German chancellor that is dated 2008. This document is publicly available since 2013. It's a German language document, but you can find of course, the news in English. So what was so specific about it? In 2008, the German intelligence predicted the spread of a new type of corona disease, which would end the globalization.
Yeah, sir, I have already gone through it.
Which would end the globalization as we know of today. So the question is, very often people mix up globalization with tourism. So we don't really know about it. In that sense, I think it has a very interesting dimension that you can actually connect to also to the political happenings.
All right, sir. All right.
Otherwise, I mean, the same things apply as well. So recent literature and putting it to a framework. So I think tourism also is something pro-cyclical. And I already see that you had nice literature issues also from 2020 and 2007, but still relevant in that sense. So thank you very much. Wonderful, wonderful work.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any other presentations left?
Yes, sir. Good morning. This is Mahesh. I want to give now presentation. Let me select.
Welcome, Mahesh, and welcome, multi-beggars. Looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you very much, sir. Are you able to see my screen, sir?
Yes, I'm able to see the slides, and you can go ahead when you feel like.
Yeah. Sir, our topic of okay, our team is multi-bagger, and we have the member Miss Meenu Gupta, Miss Jaspreet Kaur, and myself. Topic of our research is the broad topic of our research is the corporate governance, and in corporate governance, what we want to study is good corporate governance is rewarding, which we are asking, and role of shareholding pattern. There's another variable. We'll try to see how it is going to impact that relationship between the good corporate governance and the market value of the company. So now, why we have chosen this research? The reason behind it is you might be aware also that in the recent past, in India, a lot of corporate governance issues are being surfaced. Even in last few months also, there are 2-3 companies which has been put under the scan of ED for this the fudging their balance sheet or moving the funds outside in their personal account. So these things are now becoming very critical in India. Of course, the corporate governance issues are not only prevalent in India; these are also relevant for the whole worldwide community. So this is why we chose this topic. And now this is very important, particularly for India, because in Indian market, the capital markets is yet at the development stage. And since these kind of issues are coming again and again, so this might impact the development of the capital markets, because many foreign institutional investors might be reluctant to invest in Indian companies when they are not sure about their balance sheet or their financials they are representing. So this is the reason why we have chosen this topic. And now, once we decided that we are going to work on corporate governance, so we discussed the previous studies which has been done on this aspect, and we found that a lot of studies are being done on the corporate governance with establishing the relationship with compensation policy, financial distress, and board composition, etc. So, and there were a few also which were trying to relate the corporate governance with the market value of the company, but they were few. And one was on the emerging markets, which was broad. So, what we thought of that we want to just revalidate that study and in the Indian context particularly. So, this is why we have chosen this topic: corporate governance and market value of the company. And what we want to try to see is whether the companies who are having good corporate governance, whether that is being appreciated by the investors of Indian market, and whether that appreciation is being ultimately rewarded to in the or incorporated in the company's share price, or in terms ultimately to the market value of the company. This is where we would try to look at. And now we believe that there should be some correlation, positive correlation. This is our hypothesis, and if our hypothesis turned out to be true, so we hope that this will motivate the management of the companies toward the adopting the better governance practices, so that it can ultimately translated into the better market value of the company. So this is all about our research. And
Thank you very much, Mahesh. Very interesting topic. So corporate governance, and especially I know that there are some reforms. There have been some reforms in Indian political scene regarding corporate governance, especially for those firms listed in the stock exchange. My question would be rather of methodological nature and of literature nature. So, first of all, are there any studies measuring the impact of corporate governance in other or in Indian contexts? And second,
uh,
how did they measure it, and how are you going to measure that impact? That would be my questions.
Sir, as I showed you in the previous slides, let me
Mm-hmm.
go to that slide. There are studies which are trying to establish the causal relationship between corporate governance and compensation policy, CEO salary, the design of CEO salary based on the pay for performance, financial distress in the company, competition in the industry company belongs to, and board composition. So, and even there is one or few studies which are also having established some relationship, some association between the corporate governance and market value of the company. Now, the challenge, what I foresee is in front of us will be in Indian context would be measuring the corporate governance. While reviewing through the literature, we have found that in many countries, like in Germany, they have one corporate governance rating mechanism. In India, this mechanism is not mandatory as yet.
Mm-hmm.
We will try to see how to measure it, maybe by the some complaints by whistleblower or some other complaints by shareholders to the our security exchange regarding the misgovernance issues, or maybe we will try to see that whether credit rating companies are incorporating this as one of the parameters for
Mm-hmm.
while we are rating. So we are yet to decide on that, but we believe that we would be able to measure the corporate governance, and we are yet to decide on the methodology which we will be adopting for the establishing the causal relationship. For that, we will go through complete papers shortly after this presentation on the on causal relationship previously which has been established.
Thank you very much. So one way, I mean, I'm thinking of the difference in difference approaches. Not sure if you came across the term in the literature. So what is the effect before and after the issue of difference in corporate governance, for example? So
Yeah,
this can be
that
one method. I mean, I'm not giving you any ready-made recipe. I'm just giving you an idea whether it suits you or not. This should be something that you decide on yourself, of course, as team. But I think, I mean, Indian stock exchange is something important that has not yet been understand and analyzed explicitly in the literature. Therefore, big research
yes,
gap.
sir.
So kudos to that.
Yes, yes, you're right, sir. This is one thought in our mind, but let's see how it evolves. Is that since Indian stock market is evolving, and particularly this corporate governance issues are becoming more severe after the 2008 financial distress. So maybe we can that we'll see that we are not yet
Mhm.
finalized. We will see before 2008 or after 2008 how this relationship is changing, governance and market value. We'll also see that if that is possible.
Okay, and I already wrote the method that I suggest you to take a look at to the chat. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello.
Uh, Hello. Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I think meanwhile Neela ma'am wants to present. So I'll present after ma'am is done with her presentation.
Whichever way you guys prefer, I'm open to both.
Yeah, okay, that's okay. After she is done, then I'll present. Then we'll present our topic. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Nilam, we are with you, but we don't hear you. I think you need to open your microphone. I see that you muted your microphone. Okay, now we lost the view from Nilam. Maybe some other group can present. Pooja, how about yourself? I don't hear anything from Nilam. Maybe you can
Yeah.
present
Okay, sir.
now and then Nilam can move on.
Okay, right, sir. Good afternoon to all. And sir, I won't be able to show the presentation, the PPT, but I'll share with you
Sure.
whatever we could work. Yeah, first of all, my team members include myself, then Manisha and Anchal. The topic of research that we are thinking of is related to CSR activities, corporate social responsibility, and its impact on consumer buying decisions in the
Mm-hmm.
wake of COVID-19. So we'll be studying the consumer perception towards CSR and its impact on consumer buying decisions after COVID-19. So then the second question is, what is the problem or issue or question that you are asking and addressing in your research? So the answer would be, see, actually now because of this COVID, on the one hand, there's a lot of pressure on companies to maintain their profitability also, but then they're also expected to behave in socially responsible manner. And we can see now and then in newspapers also that many companies have come up for charity, for donations, and they're doing a great deal, to combat with this COVID-19. They are giving a lot many donations and they're doing that charity work. So on one hand, they are struggling with maintaining their profitability, and but then on the other hand, they are expected to behave in a socially responsive manner. So this research becomes important on how or on will CSR, influence the consumer purchase decisions. If they're spending a lot on CSR activities, will that have an impact on the consumer buying decisions? Because ultimately that will lead to their profitability. So the study intends to figure out the awareness level of consumers, first of all, towards the CSR activities of companies. Because still, I believe, especially in rural areas or otherwise also, I still believe that people are not aware of what kind of CSR activities are being done by the companies. So first, we'll be trying to find out the awareness level of consumers towards CSR activities of companies, and then how they perceive these activities. The study will also aim at studying the impact of these activities on buying decisions of cons- consumers. Uh, because little research has been done so far on this, because since COVID-19 has just started, so obviously it will have a lot of impacts. And one impact will be to study, will the company be able to do their CSR activities, and will that fetch some revenue to them? Will that create any positive impact in the minds of consumers while they are deciding on to the purchase of the commodities? So the study adds to the existing literature on CSR and consumer buying decision making by linking the two fields. In the backdrop of this pandemic, it can make a contribution towards understanding the role of CSR in consumer purchase decision, specifically in the wake of this COVID-19. So that is from our side, sir.
Thank you very much, Pooja. I mean, that's the thing with CSR. So one of the issues is that, of course, CSR itself already had an evolution over the time. So in 1970s, it was just corporate philanthropy. In 1980s, 1990s, it was CSR, and from 2000 onwards, it's more in the direction of corporate citizens. I'm not sure if you also came across the term. So
Okay.
as far as I see, what you are referring to is whether these CSR activities would be turning citizens into corporate citizens of that firm. So this should be
Yeah.
something quite interesting. And I mean, what is important is that many studies on CSR are missing this corporate citizenship component. So they're just measuring the impact of CSR activities, but they are not going into the citizen direction. And I think this is powerful that you are doing this. So I would only, I mean, perfect study, I would only add one suggestion as a paper that you can take a look at. It is, I'm writing it to the chat. So it is reconciling corporate citizenship and competitive.
Okay. Yeah. Please go ahead, sir. I'm listening.
And competitive advantage. Competitive strategy by Sylvia Maxfield. I think you would find very supportive theoretical arguments there for your conceptual dimension of the study that can also show you a way ahead.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so
In
much,
that
sir.
sense,
Thank you for
thank
your
you very
input.
much. Thank you, Pooja. And I think we are listening another presentation by.
Yes, sir. Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Who is talking?
Sir, I'm Kamalji Singh from Shri Aurobindo College of Commerce and Management.
Welcome.
Can you? Thank you, sir. Can you see my slide, sir?
Yes, I can see team name learners.
Yes, sir. Team
Very
name
nice.
is the learners. Yes, sir. And the topic I have already discussed it with you. That is impact of diversification on Indian banking sector.
Yes, I remember that. Very nice.
Yes, sir. So this was my topic. This is our team topic. The team comprises of myself, Dr. Manpreet Kaur, and Professor Sarita Arora. So we are saying that nowadays, even because the banking sector as working as a backbone for any economy. So for the well functioning and a robust banking system serve as a backbone for the country's economy. For the sustainable economic development, the proper banking system must be there, even in the particularly in the developing countries, for the economy of developing countries. So in an enhanced to in an attempt to enhance the efficiency of the banking sector, many countries around the world have deregulated, liberalized, and reformed their banking sectors. As a result, there has been an immense increase in the competition and the continuously striving to achieve a greater efficiency. So, in order to achieve the greater efficiency, though the bank bank are moving diversifying from their main traditional activities to other activities also, just like a trading activities or the underwriting activities or the insurance businesses as well, to earn an income from the non-interest income. But their major focus was a traditional was a interest income. So with this, the developed nations, due to this, the banks are diversifying their activities at a very fast pace to increase their profitability. It is already high in the developed economy. And due to increasing liberalization and the reforms, now in the emerging economy, it has also been taking place. So the research question, the first of all, that is the determinants of diversification, both the internal and external factors, and what are their impacts on the post COVID-19 as well. And first of all, I need to measure their degree of diversification. That what is the degree of diversification in emerging economies as well. And the later on, the last stage, that is its impact on the performance of the banks. So this is from my side, sir. This is the topic what I am taking up.
Thank you very much. I mean, we talked about it a little bit, and I see it now. So, what I think you have a strong side with the topic is that you are referring to emerging markets.
Yes, sir.
So
because
a lot
it is
more
in context of Indian.
Yeah, a lot more is going on in terms of banking in emerging markets, and this is something that is also that has also a very big research gap. So, I mean, there you should be finding, of course, some studies on banking in. I'm sorry, I'm hearing something else.
Yes, sir, I am listening. I am on the line.
No, there was another voice, I think, from another person. But okay, so what I was referring to was that you can always find a lot of studies on banking in emerging markets, but you don't find a lot on diversification of banking in emerging markets. So, I mean, I would motivate it. I would motivate it with recent studies about that, and I would show that it's not something that is quite much visible, but nevertheless an important topic.
Yes, sir. Definitely, there are the studies on diversification in developed economies. That is more towards the to the developed economies. But less studies have been conducted on the emerging economies. So I am looking towards for this sector.
Very nice. Thank you very much, Kanwaljit.
Thanks a lot.
Very
Thanks a
nice
lot.
topic. Very nice efforts.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Are you able to listen?
Yes, I'm able to listen, but Richa, I think your microphone is kind of problematic. It's making some funny noises.
So then, first of all, you ma'am, she can carry on, and I'll present my topic later after she's done.
Yeah, but I would prefer that you mute your microphone because it's constantly making some noises, Richa.
Yes.
Okay, now back to Lina. We are listening to
Yes,
you.
sir. I'll be very brief, sir. I'll be very brief because already two of the teammates, they have already discussed the same topic. I would just focus on the difference because it was a conceptual understanding with regard to what is the topic, and we move on to further define a research problem and then to research question. So the topic that we could identify just for today's assignment, that is e-learning, and the research problem. It was to be very specific. It is student absence, or we can say absenteeism, in live online classes. When we conduct online classes, very few students attend those classes. So that was the research problem that I and my teammates could identify. And research question that we could pen down, it was, does the use of digital technology deter students from attending? So just to be very specific, specific instead of being vague. I just try to be particular about how to define a research problem and how to define the research question thereupon. I just need your feedback because this may not be the area where we will be working upon in future, but just to understand the three things clearly and to pen down the same. Was an attempt by my team, which is comprised of myself and Isha Jain and Priya Bali. So we three have penned down these three things, and we may be working upon, because there are plethora of many other topics which are nowadays in existence. So we'll be working on them because we have not yet even started feasibility of the same. But this was the problem which was coming up on our way while we were taking online classes.
I mean, thank you very much. Very
Thank you.
current topic, apparently, and thank you for your honesty of, addressing the main message. My question would be, I mean, I have seen already three topics, so how are you going to frame it? I mean, if you go more in the direction of knowledge management, that would be the Journal of Knowledge Management, Electronic Journal of Management, and so on. If you go more into the direction of e-learning, then that would be another framing issue. So it depends on where you would like to start and where you have the most interest. So that would be one way to start.
I take up your feedback, sir. We'll be working on the same, that we have to go into knowledge management or the other way around. So thank you so much for your feedback, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, this is Jinesh from Shri Aurobindo College of Commerce and Management, Ludhiana. While deciding the topic, there were many ambiguities in our minds. Sir, first of all, we were thinking of the topic related with COVID-19. The topic was impact of COVID-19 on NPAs of banks and NBFCs, non-banking finance companies. But suddenly my mind struck how the impact can be measured. Will it be pre and post data or something, or is there any way in which COVID-19 can be measured? Reason being, one variable is sure which can be measured, the NPAs of banks and NBFCs. So, so I was not very clear how the impact can be measured. That's why we took another topic. So before presenting this, I want to discuss whether is it pre and post comparison which can be done. Hello.
Yes, I'm listening to you, Jinesh.
Sir, I am asking about the first topic which came to my mind, whether a study can be conducted on impact of COVID-19 on NPAs of banks and NBFCs.
I mean, it depends on what you would like to analyze. So I cannot just tell you you can do this or you can do that. So you need to first analyze. I'm sorry, you asked the question. Let me finish. You asked me whether you can do it. I'm sorry. You asked a question. If you want to hear the answer, let me speak, please.
I'll discuss the background first. The reason being, in this COVID-19 times, almost all the banks and NBFCs are giving moratorium to their customers. They have already given 3 months moratorium period. Now, there was a statement recently from the RBI that banks may enhance this moratorium period for a further period of 3 months. As many people are jobless, their jobs have been impacted, their earnings have been impacted. So my point was whether a study can be conducted on NPAs. The reason being, this will lead to enhancement of NPAs in the case of banks and NBFCs. My query was whether it can be pre and post comparison of NPAs, pre-COVID-19 and post-COVID-19, or there is something else. There is another way in which COVID-19 can be measured and the impact can be found out. Hello.
Yes, I'm listening to you.
Sir, this was my first topic which came to my mind. Because
okay,
of
I mean,
lack of clarity, we shifted to the other topic.
Okay, I mean, it's a pity that the slides are different than what you're referring
Yes,
to. I
yes.
mean, my suggestion would
This is
be
the
to
second topic,
spend
which is
more.
the
I'm
second
sorry,
topic.
if you are asking a question, you need to wait for me to answer the question, right?
Okay, so shall I present on the second topic,
I
which is given in
mean,
the PPT?
I don't see it's well prepared, neither topic. So you are showing some slides, but talking about something else. I mean, you need to decide on
No,
what
no,
you
sir,
would like
sir,
to do.
sir, I was, sir, I was telling you the background. The
Yeah, but
when
I
we were
mean,
discussing as a team, when we were discussing as a team, first topic which came to our mind that was impact of COVID-19. But
yeah, I
due to the
mean,
lack of awareness,
I
how
think
to
there are
measure
others
this?
waiting for presentation, and I already have one lecture just after yourself, guys. So I think instead of making two half topics, you should focus really on one topic that you are also
Okay,
able to
okay,
defend.
sir.
Okay,
So
so
I am focusing on.
that would be my advice,
Okay,
and thank you very much.
okay, sir. I am focusing on this PPT, which is being shown to you. This PPT is on impact of corporate social
Yeah, but I
responsibility.
think, Jinesh, we don't have the time to see your second topic. You already presented one topic. I think you should also give the word to the others who are waiting. Okay, so otherwise it
Okay,
would be
okay, sir.
unfair for you to present two topics and everyone else to be
Okay, okay,
presenting one topic. And I already told you that
okay,
I have another lecture just after that. We are already running out of time.
okay,
Okay,
sir.
so I would suggest to move on to the other group.
Hello, sir. So my name is Disha, and I would like to present my topic. Am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you, Richa. Welcome.
Thank you, sir, and I'll be sharing my screen now.
Mm-hmm.
Is my screen visible, sir?
Yes, now it is visible.
All right, sir. So my team name is Team Air, and the team members are Anupit, Ishita, and myself. Uh, so then, like regarding our topic, we have taken a recent topic, and that is the impact of COVID-19 on the online buying patterns of the consumer. So like since Kirat, basically online shopping is not new to India, and like people have been buying stuff to like various online portals as well. And like since the lockdown has been introduced in our country, so then like we have seen that there is a drastic shift in the buying pattern of the people. Uh, uh, so, uh, so then basically a main motive is like basically what are the various reasons behind that drastic shift? What are the various the, the consumer behind that drastic shift in terms of the online buying pattern? And then, like apart from India, in various Western countries, as well, we have seen that there is no problem of hoarding going on. During these days, and like because of the pandemic as such, because I think that the people are
Okay, Richa, I need to stop you at this moment. Your colleagues are referring to your voice not being clear, and I think you have some loudspeakers on. So please put
yes,
them off, please, because we cannot understand you.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Sir, this is Anupreet from Sri Aurobindo College and from the
Okay.
team AIR. I would like to continue to Richa,
Okay.
what Richa said. Sir, so we are basically trying to address to the problem of the Indian consumers that how are their buying patterns being changed in the lockdown, right? Are they so much of stressed out or they have so much of money? What are they hoarding? Why are they hoarding? What do they need? What do they not need? What were their definitions of essential items before the lockdown and what are these after the lockdown or during the
Mm-hmm.
lockdown? So we're trying to do something on that. And how has this behavioral change been there in this COVID-19 lockdown, right? What reasons were there that it has affected the behaviors so much that people do not want to Indians do not want to see to their prices if the prices are hiked of the products little bit more. They just want to buy the product. They're not asking for prices, and we all know that Indian consumer is a rational consumer. They want to see to the price, to the quantity, to the quality, right? So they want to trade off on all these basic parameters. So we are trying to do something on that, sir. Please give your input, sir,
Okay,
on
I
this.
mean, interesting topic. Just one point. I mean, how do you know that the consumers are not acting emotional but rather rational? So, is there any empirical evidence on that? I would be interested in that, because if you are building your model on that assumption, you need to show some prior empirical evidence that consumers acting are in a rational way.
Right, sir. Right.
And for which items? So that would be also interesting. So are they acting rational in terms of all the items that they purchase, or some items they are more emotional, for example, local
Right.
food, than rational?
Right, sir.
So
Right,
that
sir.
would
And so,
be
like regarding the same topic, I would like to add that there was recent articles that were being published regarding that. Uh, uh, Basically, like what are the various reasons because of which consumers are hoarding various goods and all. And the main reason behind that was like that since they're uncertain about the future and we are not sure as to when this virus is like supposed to go or not, so then that is why they are getting anxious on a day-to-day basis, especially in the countries of UK as well as USA. So then, like related to those countries, various articles have been published, and we have gone through that articles as well. And now we are mainly focusing on like India as of now on the basis of those parameters.
okay, very nice, but this should be also included, because otherwise people would think that you are only referring to your own study without any present prior results. So that should be quite important always to mention the previous research on that, because the topic is very current, but there have been some other studies in the previously in other issues.
Right, sir. Right, sir. We would consider that.
Okay.
We will do that.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys. Very nice.
Thank you,
Hello,
sir.
hello,
Hello.
Burak. I
Hello,
am
Gagan.
intervening. I am intervening. I'm so sorry.
That's no problem.
Yeah. Hi, guys. I am intervening simply because I know this. Can someone, can everyone mute probably? Uh, Guys, I'm intervening because I know what Burak has up his sleeves next in maybe another 10 minutes. He has another lecture. So yeah, he is supposed to go there, and we will have to excuse him for that. Burak, I think that was a very interesting session, and I was, due to my engagements in the other program, I was partially away, but I can understand, and whatever bit I heard from you and the participants, I'm really excited about the kind of research that they are doing. My only request on their part, which I'm sure they would also appreciate, is that while they go ahead with these researches, which they would be doing around COVID-19 or whatever topics that they presented, my request to you is that if you can join some of these teams, maybe as a lead author or maybe as a co-author, but whichever way these people prefer, because that would be much helpful given your expertise and your experience. I don't know. I mean, I can only because I'm also an outsider to the institution, so I can only see it from outside and think that it would be good if you if you accept this. But I mean, I leave it up to the institution if they want to develop these in the form of papers. Of course, I'll be talking in the next 10 minutes about it. Once you leave, I'll talk, even continue talking in detail to them. I'll take another 10 minutes. But I mean, this is what I want to request from my side. And of course, thank you very much for being here for these two sessions. But is someone going to anchor this further? I need 10 minutes, but before that, we would have to let Burak go.
Thank you very much, Gagan. It was a big honor to be.
Excuse me, sir. So I just want to give my thanks to sir. So on behalf of all the members of our college and other academicians who have joined us for this FTP, I want to express my gratitude to you, Dr. Burak. Today you listened to our proposals for research. These were all from different areas, yet you gave a patient and thorough listening to all of these, and you gave your feedback. It is actually very difficult to shift from one topic to another, but you did that very skillfully. We all are thankful to you for your specific inputs, detailed feedback, suggestions, everything that you gave us. Thank you so much, sir, for sparing your time. I also want to thank Gagan, sir, for pitching in. And we'll continue with you now after Dr. Burak leaves.
So thank you very much, Pooja. Thank you very much, Gagan, for these kind words. It was a big honor for me to be among such brilliant minds. I mean, I was very happy to see and to hear about all of the topics, all of the presentations, and all of the inputs from your side, guys. So thank you very much for for these very nice ideas. And of course, I mean, the time is limited, but for not for all of the projects, but for some of the projects, I would be more than glad to join as a co-author if that is wished. That is something that is wished also by the institution. I mean, I leave it to the institution's decision. That, and I already wrote my mail, so you can always contact for any questions, any feedbacks, and so on.
Sure. Thank you very much, Burak.
Thank you very much, Gagan.
We'll keep you posted, and I'll write to you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So yeah, Jagdeep, you just wrote that your presentation is pending. I'm here. You can present your work.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go on.
Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon to you.
Okay, I will present my PPT. So is it visible? Hello? Is it visible, sir?
It is not visible as of now. Maybe you can try once again. No, it's still not visible.
Okay, I will try again.
If possible, you can just talk through it. That's also okay, even if you are not able to present.
So now is it visible?
No, Jagdeep, no. Yeah. Now it's coming. Yeah, now it's visible.
Okay, sir. Okay. First of all, good afternoon to all of you. So my team name is GNU Stars, and our team members are Assistant Professor Jagdeep Kaur, that is myself, and Assistant Professor Alka and Assistant Professor Amrit Kaur. So let's start. So my topic is impact of corporate governance on profitability of Indian companies. Where now I will discuss what is the problem. Sir, I would like to discuss that how corporate governance affect the profitability of the Indian companies, where I have taken BSE 500 Indian companies, topmost Indian companies, data have been calculated from 2009 to 2018. So whether it helps to reduce the agency cost by minimizing the conflict between the interests of shareholders and directors, because there is a conflict between the shareholders and directors where shareholder wants more wealth maximization in the form of dividend, but director does not want to give profit or does not want to give dividend to the shareholders, but they want to have a management in itself. So they want to retain the profit in their company. So I would like to discuss, or I would like to explain the relationship, whether there is any significant relationship between the profitability and the corporate governance, and what are the various variables or various factors which will affect the corporate governance. So this is the problem, or which we can say this is a research objective. Now, what is the research methodology? So initially, secondary data will be gathered from various articles, books, online data sources, journals, previous research, and annual reports of the corporations. And I would like to give a technique of correlation, regression, or descriptive statistics, which will be used to analyze this data, where I will refer BSc topmost 500 companies in India. Data will be collected for the period of 10 years from 2009 to 2018. Now, why this topic is important? So, various provisions like Clause 49, SEBI, LODR 2015 has came into existence, which they gave various kind of provisions which has to be fulfilled by the various companies which are listed in the SEBI listed. So, I would like to, Hanji, I would like to evaluate the relationship between the provisions given by these Clause 49 or these SEBI order, whether they are fulfilled by these companies or not. Okay, these provisions are given under Company 2013 SEBI regulations. So whether they affect the corporate governance in order to reduce the agency conflict between the management and the shareholders. Lots of investigations have been made to inquire about the existence of the relationship between the corporate governance and profitability. But to the best of the knowledge of the researcher, there has been either very less work done. Hello?
Yeah. Go on.
Or no study undertaken on this to delegate this issue in India. So we would like to undertake an extensive research on this topic and would like to prove whether the results shown in foreign countries or whether the results shown in India is similar or different. The results shown by various studies undertaking foreign countries reveal that the relation between corporate governance and dividend policy or the profitability is not unidirectional. The direction of the relationship is both ways. So I would like to study these topics because I would like to determine whether there is a significant relationship between the corporate governance or profitability or not. So that's why I taken this topic.
Right. Very nice. Very nice. Is there any other presentation which is remaining? Guys, is there any other presentation which is remaining? I guess there is none remaining. Okay. Right, then let's have a discussion, a brief discussion about the presentations that you made. I'm not going to give a value judgment on your presentations. All your topics are extremely important. The ones that I listened to were around COVID-19, around psychology, around well-being, around this one, around corporate governance. There is so much interesting which you are planning to do. Now, there are two different things which need to be seen. I hope I'm audible to all of you. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Give me a brief time of maybe say 10 more minutes. I know we are already late, but this is very important to set the tone for the rest of the workshop now. There are two different things. One is that you have already designed some of the research questions. I am not sure if these are your PhD questions. I know some of you are already PhDs. If these are your PhD research questions, you can continue doing the work on those. If these are not your PhD research questions, you can still think of continuing with these researches. And there are the two things that I was saying. One is around what you have already said. So the idea is that the usual tendency among us, when I say us, I mean to say that the North Indian researchers, the usual tendency among us is that we think of some topics which are probably highly researched, which require some primary data, which require a lot of analysis, which we know, the analysis that we know. But as I said during my first class, what is important is your own ranking and the ranking of the institution for which your research has to be published. First, your research has to be completed. Two, it has to be published. Three, it has to be published in good journals. These are the three things which are required. The researches which you presented, so the purpose of the first two classes and today's class is very nicely met because you have already learned how to design a research statement. But now I want you to design another research statement for another research. Keep this going. I don't mind. Keep this going. But as Dr. Ajay said on the first day, and I also said that by the end of this workshop, we want to bring out something tangible. Maybe we will have another workshop after this, and maybe we will have a gap of a week, and then we can do another workshop, take stock of what we have done and take you further on the path of publishing. But the idea is that by the end of this workshop, you should be able to get something tangible out of it in terms of research. So now let us think of something around the secondary data, not around the primary data. Because we are going to use the panel data, so panel data techniques are usually employed on the secondary data because we need huge data, cross-sectional data. So I am going to give you a brief of from where to collect the data, or I'm going to talk to you about some kind of research problems. So when you come back tomorrow, when Anshita, Mansi, and Isha take their session, is it your session tomorrow, Anshita? I'm sure you are here to represent all of them. So is it your session tomorrow? Mansi's session, right. So when they come and they guide you through Mendeley, you have some time, maybe till tomorrow evening, because it is more about Anshita's session when she presents and talks you through the literature review, that you would need these topics. But I'm giving you some ideas about these topics. What kind of topics do I want you to think for this particular workshop? Because next part is analysis. I know you have struggled, and we have all struggled through e-views, data, Mendeley, and now most of the struggle has been has fructified in the form that you already have installed. Most of you have already installed the software. So for that, what kind of data and what kind of research problems? So let me talk through a couple of those. One research problem can be, I saw some people were talking around COVID. One research problem can be, what is the impact of COVID-19 on environment? And what is the impact of environment on COVID-19? Another problem, see, keep things simple. Because simple things would get, ordinary things get extraordinary publications, provided you adopt the right methodology. Second can be, what is the impact of temperature on COVID-19 and what is the impact of COVID-19 on temperature? Third can be, what is the impact of humidity on COVID-19 and what is the impact of COVID-19 on humidity? So these are three topics. The data is so easily available. What do you want? What do I want? I simply want you to select any 10 countries, but make a basis for it. Suppose someone can select South Asia. Someone can select BIMSTEC. Someone can select South Africa. Someone can select North Africa. Someone can select North America. Someone can select South America. Someone can select Europe. Someone can select 10 richest countries. Someone can select 10 poorest countries. Someone can select 10 most populous countries. Someone can select 10 least populous countries. Someone can select 10 most polluted countries. And someone else can select 10 least polluted countries. So by this way, if you choose even these three problems and different regions, you already have your topics. And the data collection is so very simple. What do I want from you? Dependent variable. So I only want two variables. One variable will remain the same for everyone. Countries can be different. What is the variable? Number of COVID cases daily. For example, suppose we want to study India. So I want number of daily cases of COVID in India in different cities, or so we are going to talk about countries. So let us say we are talking about this 8 South Asian countries. So I want, since January 1st till April 30th, how many cases of COVID were reported in each of the 8 South Asian countries? Can you get the data? It is so very easy. Johns Hopkins University has all the data. Wordometers.com has all the data. So what I want? Daily data about COVID-19 cases from 1st January till 30th April in 8 countries. So one is this variable. So if you are choosing South Asia, these are your variables. If you're not choosing South Asia, you're choosing something else, say BIMSTEC, so select and get the data for those BIMSTEC countries. So whichever countries you are selecting, get the data for that. Second thing, if you are thinking to study COVID-19 cases and environment, so simply get AQI. AQI is also publicly available. AQI is also publicly available. Yes, Sanshita, that's right. What you have written is true. I don't know whether you have written to me only or you have written to all. Let me just see. Yeah. So you have written to all. That's true. This is what I want. This is one thing that we require. And the second one, as I said, can be if you are wanting to study environment in COVID-19, so get the data on AQI. AQI levels are daily measured. So get the average AQI for each day for those countries. If you want something maybe around environment, okay, take environment, take temperature data, average temperature data for that country every day for the same period. If you want to study humidity, you can take humidity. So 2 variables. I don't want a huge data from you. I only want 2 variables. I'm keeping things so very simple. Only want 2 variables from you. If you are interested in working around COVID-19, if you are interested in working around something else, we can talk of those things as well. But I can promise you, if you find this data on COVID-19, I promise you a ABDC paper within the next 2 to 3 months. I'm talking of the publication of it. But I mean, if this is not your choice, we can talk about something else also. But initially, this is my presentation that this is what we want. We want data on 2 parameters. One parameter is COVID-19 cases. You choose the countries, you choose the 2 variables. I have said a lot about variables. I know you are intelligent enough, you are smart enough to pick the right ones. And you take the so variables and the countries. You select the variables and the countries. Time duration that I'm advising is 1st January to 30th April, but maybe in some cases the first case was reported in February. So in that case, we will have to take the data from February onwards. But let us take the data from January onwards. If it is 000, we will delete those days from all our countries. This is my first part of the presentation, which I wanted to share with you. Now, I am opening this. You may unmute yourselves, those of you who want to talk about it. If you feel this is fine, let me know that it is fine for you. If you feel this is not fine, let me know it is not fine for you, because I would then talk about another topic which may be of more interest to you. But this is what I advise. Open for you. Guys, don't just type. Don't just type. I want to hear from you. So unmute yourself and talk about it.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi.
Sanjay here, sir.
Yeah. Hi, Sanjay. How go on.
Sir, if we want any data on any company, then can we easily access the Provis?
I don't know how easily you can access the Provis, because it's the subscription is required. So I am not sure if you have the access to Provis. But the data about companies can be available from many portals than just prowess. Prowess is a good one, but not the only one.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Good afternoon, sir. Dr. Manpreet this side from Sri Aurobindo College itself.
Right, Manpreet, go on.
Sir, actually, the topics you are suggesting, aren't they like more of science topics than the commerce or finance, stream? So I am a bit doubtful whether, that would rather make a different pitch to the profiles of commerce peoples.
See, you will have to come out of the block of being a subject-specific person. The limitation, as I said, major limitation that we create for ourselves is a block where we say we are a commerce person, or we are a management person, or we are a finance person. Today, the world is looking at interdisciplinary sciences. Please don't restrict yourselves to any one field. We are looking at interdisciplinarity. The world is looking for interdisciplinarity. The agencies that are ranking you and ranking your institutions, they are looking at interdisciplinarity. If you are only restricted yourselves to one particular discipline, I don't know what the future is going to be for you, because this kind of teaching would not continue forever. Ultimately, we will have to have courses such as energy economics, for example, courses such as environmental economics, courses such as sustainable development. Right, so you cannot expect the bachelors of commerce and masters of commerce to continue for another 30 years from today. Things will have to evolve, and things will have to evolve as per the needs of the society, as per the needs of the nature. And moreover, finance or commerce has a branch called finance, and finance emerges from economics. Economics has a branch called econometrics, where we take up the tools of econometrics and apply those here. So I am a finance professional myself. I have done my Masters of Commerce. Anshita has done her Masters of Commerce. And I am doing it because what I'm thinking is that I believe that I would be doing it as an econometric expert. So my econometric expertise will come in handy while I'll handle such a research topic. But at the same time, what I'm saying, I don't want this to be bounding on you. For the sake of practice, you can do this, and then you can select any of the panel data. Like you can take the panel data, for example, the good old thing, that stock market of India and stock market of the US. You can try to build the causalities, which I did in my PhD as well. And this kind of things can also be done.
Thank you so much, sir. Actually, what I was thinking, what was taught to us, that there should be a specialization in teaching field. You should be going into one field only for the research, for teaching. That's why maybe we were having such kind of perception. So it is good. Rather, we should go for interdisciplinary research, and it will not make any difference to the specialization, as you say.
Yeah. Even if it does, that's a difference worth made. That's a change worth having.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. There is a question here.
Right.
Gagan, sir, can you hear me? One of the common variables that you are suggesting us is COVID-19 cases. So when we'll be basing our research on the past researches, previous researches, so what kind of past researches we can relate it with to have a review of literature also?
Yeah, it's a very good question, Monica, but don't worry about that. We have in fact, 3 exceptional speakers lined up for tomorrow and the day after. They would handle and guide you through how to get the literature around your theme. So as of now, the idea is to have a theme. Once you have a theme, so we have specialized people coming up tomorrow and the day after who will handle your query with respect to this. But as of now, I can say that we will contribute to the literature of sustainable development. We will contribute to the literature of pandemics and sustainable development, and we will contribute to the literature of environmental economics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, please. Any further questions? Or I want to know from each of the group, in fact, what are you going to do with respect to the panel data? Are you okay with the problem that I said, or are you not okay with it? Please, I want each of the group to quickly say what you are thinking. And if you are okay, then what are the variables you are going to think, and what are the countries that you are thinking? So just give me a quick idea about it.
Good afternoon, sir. So can you hear me?
Yeah.
Anji sir, myself, Dr. Robin Kaushal from Shri Aurobindo College of Commerce and Management. Hanji sir, actually, many of us, I think most of us have done the researches on primary data, right? So this panel data regression we are doing for the very first time, no doubt from, I think in our college 6-7 years back, the college has organized a workshop on e-views, but I think that we need to start it from the ground level. So before going in depth into the dependent variables or the independent variables, so first of all, I think all of us need that how this e-views will work properly. Only then we could further think upon that how the things would be further move on.
Yeah, that's quite an innocent question. That's why I laughed. See, I usually say this to my PhD students, that software is not everything. Software is only a tool. Software is just a tool. What is more important is to do the real thing, right? So forget about e-views. I may not use e-views at all. I may use a much advanced version of something. But rest assured, our way of teaching, my way of teaching, and the teaching of my teachers has been like, we do not start from where we are. My way of teaching is that I start from where you are, and I will try to bring you where I am, rather than beginning myself from where I am and ultimately ending at where you are. I would begin from where you are, and then we would move on to where I am. No worries. So don't worry. Just rest assured. Just tighten your seat belts and be on board.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Right, sir.
Yeah. Can we quickly hear from the groups? I don't want to jump into your lunchtime and mine as well. I have a session with my FDP starting at 2:30, so we have to be quick.
Hello, sir. From my group side, I want to choose the topic out of the topics that you have suggested. We would like to choose the study of these South Asian nations and the impact of temperature on COVID-19 and vice versa.
Right. So we are not saying impact of temperature on this. We are saying causality between temperature and COVID-19 cases.
All right, sir. Causality.
Right. Good. So one is fixed. You can, maybe someone can prepare a note that will be very good. Otherwise, I mean, it will be a little too problematic for us to record all those things. So can someone, maybe you all mail your topics to someone, and then Excel is prepared. But this topic, I like it. Thank you, Monica. Good.
Okay. Welcome.
Sure, Lena. Thank you. Yeah. Next group, please. Hi. I can't hear you properly.
Sir, this is Mrinal from
Aurobindo. Now it's fine. Yeah, go on, Mrinal.
The causality between the environment and this one. COVID cases.
Environment and COVID cases.
Yes, sir.
Which region?
I think Southeast Asia.
You can think about the region. Yeah, Southeast Asia is not bad. That's very important region. But you can think about that. I'm glad that you have a topic. Thank you. Thank you, Mrinal. Yes, next one, please.
Sir Mantri this side. So we would be doing on impact of pollution on COVID-19.
Very nice. Very nice.
And probably we'd be taking as you suggested, 5 most polluted countries and 5 least polluted, so that we can make a comparison as well.
Wow. Wonderful. Yeah, next.
Right, so thank you.
Hello.
Hi, Jackie.
Sir, can we take this topic impact of COVID-19 on the survival of the middle class families or on the livelihood of the middle class family peoples?
So where will you take the data from about livelihood of the middle class families from?
Um, yes, we have to collect the primary data itself.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
that's one issue. You can keep on collecting the primary data, but see, the ones that will be quick will get publication quickly. If you send a COVID-19 paper after 1 year, the chances of publication would be lower than those are today.
Okay, okay, sir. I
Yeah,
will think. Okay, sir.
Hello.
yeah, yeah. Yes, please.
Hello. So can we take the topic about COVID-19 and comparison with inflation rates, and we can choose like particular group of countries. We can go for consumer price index.
But consumer price index is available only for the previous times, not for the times that we are into, contemporary times, no? In,
Maybe after like a few months, this data would be available. So is
yeah,
it workable topic?
this is very much workable, no problem in that. But as of now, you can take some other economic measures, the data for which is available maybe daily or something like that. For example, you can take the data on bank deposits, or you can take some other data which is economic data if you really want to work on that. So COVID-19 cases in the country and some economic measure, the data for which is available daily. Maybe you can take the
What
stock,
kind of data can we take upon?
maybe you can take stock market, or you can take
Stock.
currency. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know. I have not seen any research like this happen before, but there is no denying the fact that one can always think out of the box and do something like this. COVID-19 cases and stock market.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Which region will you focus on?
So probably South Asian countries we can focus on, so that we have some, you can say a common point, that is the South Asian countries, they have similar kind of economic conditions to
Right,
work
right,
upon. So we
right.
can add the comparison as well.
Sure, sure. Yes, next group, please.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Hi, Sonam.
Yeah, hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Afternoon to
Sir,
you.
we would like to, we four are the people from IT background, and
Okay.
we want to choose the topic. Firstly, we want to choose the 10 most polluted cities or countries, and we want to check the impact of humidity.
Mm-hmm.
Humidity on the COVID-19. We want to choose the aspect of humidity.
Very nice, very nice. It's very good idea to take the impact of humidity on this. Sure. You have to select the countries, and you have already highlighted how you will select the countries. Great. Yes, next group.
Okay, yes,
Sir,
yes.
good afternoon, Mahesh this side.
Yeah, Mahesh.
Sir, I want to ask you just one thing. Is there any, because I don't know that, but actually oftenly we were hearing about that, because in India the cases are relatively less, and mortality rate is also comparatively about 3% in comparison to the developed country where it is 10% or even more than that. So there were two variables often talked about. One was the BCG vaccine, the tuberculosis vaccine. So
Mm-hmm.
this was one variable. Though there is already an outcome which was declared that there is a possibility that the countries who have been given this tuberculosis vaccines, so the chances of mortality is less.
Mm-hmm.
There was already one study. So
Yeah,
this could be one variable, the BCG vaccination program. Second,
yeah.
I just wanted to know from you that is it possible to get the some data on the hygiene level, because there is one
On what?
perception
I'm
around us.
sorry. What did you say on?
Hygiene level.
I think. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Why, why I'm saying this, because there is a perception around us that since in India the hygiene level is relatively poor, so the probability of their immunity getting developed uh, or even more immunity is more resistant is little bit higher than the developed countries.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one perception. So I don't know whether this is true or not. So I just want to know if there is anybody from economic side, is there
Yeah,
any
yeah.
variable for hygiene level, measuring hygiene level between different countries?
Yeah, that's very important and very interesting topic. Hygiene, I think, would be very important variable, but at the same time, you will have to search. I'm as ignorant as yourselves on, or as knowledgeable as yourselves around the data hygiene database. You can check if there is a hygiene data. Someone has suggested EPI index for hygiene. I know someone has written in the chat now that there is a EPI index,
EPI
hygiene
index.
index. Yeah,
Okay,
you
that's
can
great.
just have a look, right? But this is, mind you, this is a very interesting and very kind of novel topic.
Yeah. So we will try
Uh,
check. If there is data
Right.
dissemination that EPI, so I'll check
uh,
it. Thank you.
Yeah. Sure, sure. Yes.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
So can you take how the level of pollution linked with COVID-19?
Oh, of course, I talked about that only.
Then we will take the most polluted countries.
Someone is already taking most polluted and least polluted five countries. So you will have to select the region in
Okay.
discussion with all other.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Next group, please.
Hello, sir. This is Anupreet
Right, Anuprit.
from Sri Aurobindo College itself. Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon to you.
Sir, I was thinking about something of the eating habits of the people and the effect of COVID-19 on them. Means the vegetarian versus non-vegetarians, or the people who exercise more or are more like a fitness freak versus those who are obese or those who do not like exercise at all. So I
Mhm.
was thinking about that.
You are thinking very much in the right direction. The only challenge is the data procurement. If you think you can have a ready data for these variables, that will be very good.
Okay, sir. Do you think that these kind of data would be available from the secondary sources?
Hello.
You will have to check it out.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir. We can hear you.
Hello.
Sir, we can hear you. Go on. Good afternoon to you.
Gagan, I was thinking that let's give them time to frame whatever they want to do, because now it's already 2. Let's try to conclude today's session. I will float a Google form and ask the teams to give the exact names of the topics and what we are doing on this panel data. And I will share with you what all has submitted.
Sure, sir. That would be very good. It would be good if we can add Anshita, Mansi, and Isha to the group that we have created, the WhatsApp group, because they are going to take tomorrow's session. So once you share the data sheet, we can also share with them. Or maybe you can share with me and then I'll share with them.
That will be very fine.
Right, sir. Right. So, guys, we can conclude the session.
It was a very good session.
Yes, sir. Go on. Sorry.
It's a very good session, and we learned a lot today. That is Burak and your contribution. We are feeling much more enlightened about what is going on research and how to proceed further. And I hope that tomorrow also will be having a very good session. And of course, now time is, most of the teachers are female and it's a lunchtime. So I don't want to extend it further. So please try to conclude. Thank you.
Sure, sure, sure. It's already concluded, and you have concluded it very nicely. And let's meet each other tomorrow. But in the meantime, sir is going to float a form for all of you, and then please fill in that form, and let's see what are the topics that you are working on. I've heard lot many topics, and those are all interesting. Let's conclude it for the day, and we'll see you.
So,
Yeah, you want to say something?
yeah. So no, just want to again thank you also, because you pitched in. Dr. Burak had to leave, and you had to pitch in so that we could just continue with the presentations. And I also want to thank you on behalf of all the participants for initiating the thought process, for the panel data, because I think it is going to be new for most of us. So you initiated the topic, and you gave us the ideas, you gave us the examples, which has made us move in that direction, because otherwise it would have been very haywire, and it would have been very difficult for us to choose the topics. But you gave us an idea, you gave us examples. So thank you so much for showing us the direction, and hope we will also be able to move ahead. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Gagan sir.
My last thing for the day is that in the first presentation which I made to you, I talked about the coherence between institutional performance and individual performance. Now, since most of you are going to work with this panel data, there are two ideas which you will have to choose from. I mean, it's between you and your principal. One is that you can write your independent papers and submit it to the journals, good journals, and then we can see when we get published, we can get through publications in the good journals. This is one idea. Idea number two is that we can conceive a new book. We may approach Springer. I have got some links in Springer. We can approach Springer at this particular college. There are some faculty who are working around COVID-19 and environment, and I'm sure Springer would be very interested. And we can publish all these papers that you are going to work on in the form of a book, which will be published by Springer. It would, I don't think it would be of any financial cost to you or your institution. And I'm sure they would send it to Scopus and Web of Science for listing, and it would be listed both ways. But at the same time, books have a different weightage, journals have a different weightage. I don't know what you choose, but while we finish this workshop, you will have to decide among these two what exactly do you want. So put some thoughts on that as well. I'm sure that we'll come up with good papers, and we would publish it in whichever way you decide. Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you. I am not sure if I'll be here for the session, for the entire session tomorrow, because we have a session at my university again continuing tomorrow. But for the session around 11 o'clock, I'll certainly be here. From 10 to 11, sorry, I would certainly be here, but 11 o'clock I may have to skip away. Thank you very much.